42-year-old database administrator Lillian Dantzler is suing former friend, 34-year-old entrepreneur Michael McCullough for trashing her apartment.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 185 on the calendar in the matter of Dantzler versus McCullough. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated and have a seat, please.
Ms. Dantzler, you, according to your complaint, met the defendant through a dating service.
Yes.
That was sometime in the beginning of May of this year?
Yes.
And while on a sort of date, I guess, at your house, also in May.
Yes.
You claim that he, after some sort of a disturbance, destroyed your apartment.
Exactly.
So first tell me, what was he doing at your apartment?
Well, first, the reason why he was at my apartment was we had spent the day on doing personal items for himself. The defendant explained to me that he was totally blind and that he was looking for a companion, basically to help him do some of his banking, shopping. So
he wasn't interested in a date, he was interested in a caretaker.
Right, and that was one thing that he explained to me in the beginning, and I explained to him also in the beginning that I was going to be leaving Texas to return to California permanently, so I would try to assist you as much as I can.
Why would you do that? Was he going to pay you for this work?
No, I call myself being a good Samaritan, to try to help him out. I know, knuckleheaded me, you know.
Did you sign up for this dating service?
No, no, it's something that is offered free for women, but the men has to pay for the service. You leave a voicemail with a description on yourself, and they'll call and leave you a message.
Okay, and you had to pay for this service, sir?
Yes.
How much did you have to pay? I'm just curious.
This right here, this rate here was $17 for 7 days.
Okay, and you were not looking for a date, you were looking for somebody to sort of help you out with chores and things?
No, this what I was looking for, a companion, just a CNI companion, just to do this here for youth program that I had to testify, because I lost my eyesight 4 years ago. It's a mystery because my car pulled up at my cousin's barbecue restaurant.
No. I just, don't go back so far, please. Just tell me, were you looking for a date or were you looking for somebody to help you out with your chores?
I was looking for a companion just to help me find a studio to do some gospel mystery,
just
music,
a second. So you will
ministry.
I got it. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got together and you did some chores for him that day. What day was that? May what?
That was May 19th.
Okay, so you're doing some chores with him.
And the chores were, I took him to the bank, and I assisted him to walk him up to the teller, help him withdraw some money. I went to the grocery store. And all the while, I'm leading him around like he's a blind person. And since he was constantly telling me that he was, you know, never eating, I decided to fix dinner, and I fixed dinner for him.
So then you invited him back to your apartment?
Right. And during that course of the time, I was reading over the items that he wanted me to read as far as, you know, the mail that he had received. So in that process, I was beginning to see some things that maybe this person is not as blind as he said, because he actually told me what color shirt I had on. Now, I know the difference between being totally blind and being legally blind. My mother, before passing, was legally blind, so I know you can see figures, shapes, some shadows. But if you're totally blind, you're not going to be able to see anything.
Okay. So you're reading over his mail and he told you what color shirt you were wearing, and then what happened?
Then when he told me what color shirt I had on, I began to question him actually on how well can he see. And I asked him, I says, well, has the state declared you being legally blind, or did the state declare you being totally blind? Because I know there is a difference. Because if you're legally blind...
Okay. So you you asked him that question.
Right.
And what did he say?
He said that he was declared totally blind.
Okay. So, next.
So, after doing dinner, he had a couple of beers, he kind of fell asleep on the couch. And at that time, I told myself, well, you know, it's about time for me to get ready to take you home. So I tapped him on the shoulder because he was ignoring me. So when I tapped him on the shoulder, he pulled me down and he began to touch me inappropriately. And during that time, you know, when he was doing so, I got angry. I walked out of my apartment. I was standing on the patio. I'm like, man, here it goes again. And when I went back in, he was in my room. So when I went in my room, I wanted to do the same thing that he did to me. So I pulled out one of my little play toys and tried to up him like he tried to things up me. So in that process, that's when the fight began. Well, he...
First of all, hold up. She got these 2 weekends combined together.
You'll have your turn. Just wait one moment, sir. Go ahead.
Well, in that process, as I walked out of the room, I had slapped him upside the head. You know, and I told him, I want you out of here. I said, even though that I picked you up, I'm going to call you a cab so you can go home, because I don't think you're as blind as you're saying that you are. And he's like, well, go ahead on, you know, call a cab. So I called the cab, and in the process of waiting for the cab, he's saying, well, you know, I ain't no punk. And he tried to pick up my couch and tried to lift it and flip it. So what I did, I pushed it down to keep him from flipping it. So then he walks over, and this is all without his blind man's cane. Now, he had only been in my apartment twice. Now, for a person that is totally blind, why wasn't he bumping into things? So in the process, he walks over to the TV and flips over the TV. So in the process of when he flips over the TV, I got on the phone with 911 because I wanted him out of here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Yes, could you call the police over here right now? Yeah, 911 right now. Could you come over here real quick? Give me the phone. Give me the phone. Please. Hurry up, please.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lillian Dantzler says former friend Michael McCullough trashed her apartment in a fit of rage. Michael says he's blind and he accidentally knocked a few things over.
What happened next?
You know, and when I called 911, all in the process, I'm watching him walk over to the picture that I had on the wall, and I have pictures of my apartment, of how my apartment was before it was destroyed and after it was destroyed.
Let me see them, please.
He trashed it. Totally trashed it.
Now, what happened when the police arrived?
When the police arrived, he was standing out on the balcony, hollering and screaming to the neighbors downtown about, yeah, I'm going to tell the police that you were one of the persons that, you know, shot me in my head, you know. And all the while, he was just ranting and raving. And when the police arrived...
Did the police take him into custody?
Yes, he was arrested.
You have a police report?
I sure do.
Can I see it, please?
And to me, as I was watching him destroy it, there's no way in the world a blind man gonna see speakers that I had on a vaulted ceiling. I watched him jump and pull them down. He pulled down the patio blinds. As he went from the patio blinds, he went to my baker's rack, and I had speakers over my baker's rack. He hopped to pull it down, and when he pulled a picture off a wall, he stepped on it. He flipped my coffee table, and as he trashed the living room, he went right on over to the dining room. When he went to the dining room, he flipped over the glass top that was on the table, and on that table I had a box of crystal items that I was getting ready to pack on that table. So the crystal items that were in that box was totally shattered, and I watched this individual take a chair, Your Honor, and throw it at my mirror. The mirror that was sitting behind the dining table. Now, if you're totally blind, how are you going to know that there is a mirror that's up on the wall behind the dining table?
What happened to the case in court?
Well, right now it's been dismissed.
Why is that?
Well, from what I understand, when I was there, I was not notified and I didn't show.
What happened to your arrest, sir?
First of all, when the police came and got me, they seen me standing out there and told me to raise my hand up, make sure I didn't have no weapons on me. So they came up there and then came and asked me for an ID. I reached in my pocket and gave my ID. And the first thing they said, we need to identify you. And the reason I got arrested, they came to me and said, where is these warrants that's out for your arrest? These warrants should have been dropped 2 years ago. And I went to jail and stayed there 5 days and went to the court for arraignment. They came to me and said, well, this is a criminal mischief. You'll be from $2,000 up to $22,000 bond. They gave me $2,000 bond. Then the arraignment judge pushed that to the side and then had to pay a dime on that bond to get out of jail.
What happened to this case, this criminal mischief case?
I went to court and sitting there, and like I said, she didn't even show up. And they just came and told me,
Your
Mr.
Honor,
McCullough. and said a few things. The only thing I noticed, he said it was dismissed, and I just stood up and just thanked my Father God for his goodness before I had to go through all
When
this
was it
stuff.
when was it dismissed, sir?
August 18th, last month.
Now, Miss Dantzler has told me her version of the events. Clearly, you destroyed her apartment. I mean, I have the photographs, sir. You don't
Okay.
deny that you destroyed her apartment, is that right?
Now, hold up, let me get this organized here. First of
No,
all,
before you answer my question. You
I
don't
asked you-
deny that you destroyed her apartment. Is that right? You couldn't
no,
give me the
I
reason.
did not destroy that apartment.
All right, so
First
tell
of
me
all,
what you didn't do.
what's he talking about? Throwing chairs? How can if I'm blind and I can't see and stuff, throw a chair up against a mirror?
And that is...
Shh, shh.
And the first, let me start how all this started while I left out that room. Cause first of all, she came and got me out that car for sitting there listening to the video, walked me in the room, and first thing she said was, Michael, you want to get some of these crystal pills, talking about using some drugs, and had the ecstasy pills laying on the table, and she trying to get me to use, so I denied that. Then I heard
Okay,
of
so
Bob-
she tried to get you, she asked
Yes.
you if you want, shh,
Ecstasy.
Mr. McCullough,
Ecstasy.
she asked you if you wanted to use drugs, you said no.
Yes.
Next, what happened next?
This, I heard a no. I said, what's that? She said, this is Leroy. I said, who is Leroy? Talking about a vibrator.
That-
And then it vibrated, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And she touched me on my leg with it, on my pants leg. And I'm like, Bonnie, what's up with this?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She can't touch this, touch this. I said, what? She said, feel it, feel it. I felt something right in front of my chest. I stuck my hand down and she had a top full of marijuana. She trying to get to deceive me and tempt me to smoke this weed.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lillian Dantzler says Michael McCullough lied to her about being blind and then made sexual advances. She says when she turned him down, he trashed her apartment.
What happened next?
Then I felt her hand around my back. And then I just denied that, told her just get on and leave me alone. So then, right after that, Your Honor, she said, Michael, do you want to go on the balcony and smoke a joint? And then I said, I just let her out, and then she just left. And then, Your Honor, she can't touch this, touch this. I said, what? She said, feel it, feel it. I felt something right in front of my chest. I stuck my hand down and she had a top full of marijuana, and my index finger went 2/3 off of this weed, and I stood up. And she trying to get to deceive me and tempt me to smoke this weed. And then she come handing me my wallet, telling me I'm finna call her taxi. And how did she get my wallet? So evidently she got my wallet out my pants by that vibrator, to get on my pants leg and sticking her hand in my pocket. And then, and she told me, Michael, I'm gonna call 911. I said, call him. And I said, give me that phone. And that's when I stepped, my left leg hit that
Your
table.
Honor.
My left leg hit that table. I extended my arm and it hit that picture shifted. My arm went down. I felt the wire. And then when I went down, I heard the speakers, they was on, but when I hit that wire, they shut down. And then I know where I was at, and I moved to the right, and I balanced myself on the couch, and that's when I reached down and grabbed my cane and extended it. Because when I came to her house, that's when I first walked the door, that's where that couch was. So I went around there to the edge, positioned myself, and walked straight out that door. And within 5 minutes, how can I lift up couches, throw chairs and mirrors? And I was out there in 5 minutes because she was trying to get me to use drugs and to get these drug dealers to come out there and tempt me. Well, like I said, I lost my eyesight. Somebody shot me point blank in the head, and the doctors told the police and my family it was close range. The oxygen in my brain is gone. The bullet is still in my brain now. It hit my optic nerve, and they said in 4 to 6 hours, and I'll be dead. And they turned that life support machine off. And I was sitting there. The suspect never been found.
Okay,
the police
okay.
kept my car for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Found no evidence I got shot in that car.
Okay.
And that's what's going to have me go back and search to that street life who shot me. That's
Okay,
why I'm trying
okay,
to get
okay,
out of
Mr.
there.
McCullough.
God got everything under control.
Okay. You have a tape there that you want me to
Honey,
hear?
I have the 911 tape where you can hear him exactly trashing it.
Okay, let me hear it.
Yes, could you call the police over here right now? Because this guy's over here, he acting like he's lying. He's over here tearing up my stuff out of the house. Okay, could you come over here real quick? Right now. He's tearing up everything out of my apartment. Give me the phone. Give me the phone. Please. Please hurry up and get him out of here. Hurry up, please. He's tearing up everything in here.
And you can hear him
He's standing up everything. He's black. He's about 6'3".
How tall is
Please hurry up.
Okay.
He just trashed up everything. He's tearing up everything in my bedroom. He's tearing up everything.
Why is he mad at you, man?
Because I wouldn't have sex with him. He done tore up everything in my apartment. And I want him arrested.
I think that speaks for itself, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Anything else you want to say, Mr. McCullough?
Yes, on that tape, what was I saying? Give me that phone, because I made the decision to call 911 to get the police to come take me home. And if there was that much damage done at the apartment, why the police didn't tell me when they didn't read me no rights or nothing when they arrested me? They say the reason they were taking me downtown was causing them Fort Worth traffic tickets. And I would have told them to find that marijuana prints, and I would have told them where my fingerprints was at.
Mr. McCullough, pay careful attention to me. They weren't taking you downtown because of outstanding warrants. The reason that you were arrested that evening, sir, is because you had, in fact, trashed her apartment. All these other warrants didn't become known to the police until after you got to the police station. Do you understand me?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I got, It was right there at that place. They said the 5 traffic tickets right there on the spot. As soon as they got my ID, it wasn't there at the arraignment as a judge. It was before I even went to jail. They told me what I was going down for.
Well, were they your warrants on the ticket, sir?
Yes, back in March 95 and 96.
They were. So how come you didn't pay those tickets?
Because 6 months later, after June 96, that's when somebody shot me in the head. And that's
Well,
when
but you
they went
still
to
owe them on the tickets, sir.
I know.
So what'd you wait 6 months for to pay the tickets? You knew there were warrants outstanding for you, if I believe you.
I didn't know they were warrants then, because I didn't know warrants until it was in the hospital. The police told my family they went to warrant. They didn't send
All right,
me to my
Mr.
house.
Dantzler, there is no question in my mind that Mr. McCullough, despite the fact that some strange things went on in your apartment, that Mr. McCullough damaged your apartment to the extent that I've seen in the photographs. There is also no question in my mind, madam, that the original invoice that you gave to the police, which is clearly detailed, does not rise to the $5,000 that you're suing Mr. McCullough, that you are suing Mr. McCullough for. You gave the police a complete detail, including miscellaneous items that you have in the last section, you know, miscellaneous small things, and that comes to $2,454. I am entering a judgment in your behalf in that amount. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your Honor, this is case number 206 on the calendar in the matter of McMahon versus McCarthy. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have seats, please.
Mr. McMahon, according to the complaint that I read, you and the defendant leased an apartment to live together. When you moved into the apartment, you put down half the security deposit. You also purchased some old furniture together. When you separated, you did not receive your security deposit back, nor the value of half the furniture that you purchased. That's what you want.
That's
right?
correct, Your Honor.
The defendant says this is pretty much a joke because you really owe her money and she has a counterclaim.
Mm-hmm.
When did you lease this apartment?
I believe it was in July of '98, June or July.
And how long did you live together?
On and off for probably a year and a half.
When did you finally separate?
About probably 5 months ago, permanently.
And how long did you actually live in the apartment?
I actually lived in the apartment full-time for approximately 2 months before I got thrown out the first time.
And then you moved back?
And then I moved back.
Well, so let's have all the months together that you actually lived there.
Probably 4 months straight. On and off for probably a year and a half.
And how much was your security deposit that you put down?
$150.
Now, tell me about this furniture that you purchased together.
First, we bought a washer and dryer. I paid $75. She paid $75.
Okay. What's next?
The next is the furniture, which her aunt was selling, and again, we each paid $75 for the furniture.
No, we did not.
You'll have your chance.
That's wrong, Your
You'll
Honor.
have your chance. So that is $275 and $150, $425. How did you pay your half of the rent, which comes to her counterclaim?
With a check.
With checks.
I wrote my checks out to her.
Let me see them.
I don't have them. She packed all my stuff up.
He packed it all himself.
Mr. McMahon.
That's not true.
See, the problem is, she says that you lived together a total of 6 months. You say 4 months. The defendant says that you only paid rent for 2 of those months.
That is correct. But the only reason I paid for the first 2 months because I lived there full time. She threw me out. I had to go move into a whole nother place. And we were broken up. We started seeing each other again, and I had a separate residence.
But then you moved back in, even according to you.
Right, okay.
Sir, listen to me. Then you moved back in, at least according to you, for another 2 months on an apartment where you had a lease.
Right.
And you did not pay rent for those 2 months.
Yes, I did.
No, he didn't.
No, you just told me you didn't pay rent for those 2 months. You said you only paid rent for 2 months.
I wasn't living there full time. I was only spending 2 nights out of the week there. I already moved out into a whole nother place.
No, Mr. McMahon, now you're making that up as you're going
I am
along. You
not,
just said
Your
to me,
Honor.
you
Oh, I'm
said to
nervous.
me a
Don't-
moment ago, of the year and a half that you were together, you lived there 4 months, but you only paid rent for 2 months out of the 4.
No, while I was there, if I stayed there for a full month, I would pay for half of that month. If I only spent
That's
a
not
couple...
what you just told me.
Well, excuse me, Your Honor. I'm a little confused. It was...
Well, let's not get confused, sir.
But I went and got a separate residence, and then we started dating again. I would spend the weekend over there and then go back during the week to my own residence.
He never got his own residence until after the second time I threw him out. He lived with his father after the first time.
Okay, let's talk about the expenses that you say he owes you, Miss McCarthy. Let me hear.
Well, Your Honor, most of what he has said was correct. He was there May and June. I found he was cheating on me, and I threw him out. We reconciled, and he moved back in October, and he was there October, November, and December, and it was shortly after Christmas, 1998, or maybe even after the first of the year,
That's not
where I
true
threw him
either.
out for the second time. He was coming up with all these excuses why he couldn't help me out with the rent, and never paid anything. The day I threw him out, I went to do some laundry, and he had a bad habit of keeping his papers in his pants. I would check his pockets for papers, and I found a receipt for some car stereo equipment that he purchased the day before, and that's when all heck broke loose, and I threw
Why?
him out.
Why?
Because he kept claiming that he had no money to help me out. You know, he was getting speeding tickets, he was paying for the speeding tickets, he bought $1,000 rims for this Mustang that he owned. The heat would be up to 80 degrees, and he wasn't even there.
All right. So now, I got it.
I was on the lease, though. I'm entitled
Just
to turn my own heat up.
Just a second.
But he
I got
wasn't paying for it, Your
I
Honor.
got
That's
it.
not
I
true.
understand the whole scenario. Now, my next question to both of you is, clearly, according to you, October, November, and December of 1998
98.
is when you, in December is when you threw him out ultimately?
Yeah, it was a little after Christmas, maybe even after the first of the year.
Okay. And did he ever move back in?
No.
Why haven't you sued him for the amounts that you claim he owes you?
Well, initially, Your Honor, we got back together around Valentine's Day in 1999.
So you were back together?
Yes, we did. We never moved. He never moved back in. I still live there today.
But in February of 1999, you sort of got back together. How?
He invited me to dinner, bought me a couple dozen roses, and schmoozed his way back in like he always did.
All right. And how long did that schmoozing last?
On and off for about a year. We had a verbal agreement in between all this because he was upset about the furniture. He threatened to cut it up if he had to in order for him to get his half of it. And once we did get back together, we made a verbal agreement that I was to keep the furniture in my apartment because he hadn't helped me for those 3 months. And that was
true.
well and good for
Never
us.
made that agreement.
And all of a sudden I get this lawsuit, and so I said, well, the heck with it. I'm going to just
Right.
get my money that he owes me.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear. So you were prepared to say, forget it.
Yes, I
moved
was.
on. Now, Mr. McMahon, I'm going to ask you the same question, sir. What took you so long to file this lawsuit?
We got engaged.
Yes.
She wanted me to move back in. I said, no, not until some issues are resolved.
And when did that engagement terminate?
On my birthday,
What date?
January 30th. I wasn't just going to jump into a lawsuit until I had some time
You
to
should
deal
have
with what I was
jumped into the
feeling.
lawsuit a year and a half ago.
Well, yeah,
If you
you're
believe,
right. You're right. I
You're
should've.
absolutely right. If you believe that she honestly owed you this money, half of a washer and dryer for $75 and a lot of furniture for $75.
It's
was
not
only-
the money. It's got nothing to do with the money.
So what did it have to do with?
Your Honor, we had a 3-bedroom apartment. Out of all 3, each bedroom had a closet. I had a quarter of one closet in the master bedroom.
So does my husband.
And I had 2,
And let me tell you, he's a happy man.
and I had 2 drawers. I had
Just a
2
second.
drawers.
Do
I couldn't
you
even put my
understand?
clothes in there.
He has 2 drawers. Men are lucky if they have a quarter of a closet. They have one drawer.
And another
Right?
thing,
Women need more drawers.
And another thing,
And
Your
more
Honor.
closet space.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She took over the whole apartment.
That's what ladies do. They make a nest.
What about me?
My husband knows he can decorate anything in his quarter of the closet.
I didn't get
Period.
And later today,
He shove-kicked me to my growing area, and I didn't do anything.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daniel McMahon says ex-girlfriend Michelle McCartney won't return his furniture or his share of the deposit on their apartment.
Have you ever been married?
No, ma'am.
That's a very good lesson I'm going to teach you. Don't expect more than a quarter of a closet. Right? If you expect more, never get married.
Okay, and another thing, January 30th, which was my birthday, which was one of the
You
last
want
big
more than a
fights.
quarter of a closet?
A quarter of a closet's
I've
ridiculous.
been married for 13 years.
Yeah.
I don't even have a quarter of a closet.
The whole apartment had her family all over the wall. I couldn't put any. I had no entity in there at all.
You mean you
No,
couldn't have a
nothing.
picture of your mother or your grandmother
The
up?
walls were full. I couldn't do nothing.
Mr. McMahon.
I'm serious. She took over the whole apartment.
Mr. McMahon.
I had no rights and nothing.
That's what ladies do. They make a nest.
We need.
Here,
There
let me
should be a
explain
little
something
bit
to
of
you.
compromise.
Let me
though,
explain
and there was
something to you.
not.
That's what happens. They make a nest. Right?
What about me?
My husband knows he can decorate anything in his quarter of the closet.
I didn't get.
Period.
I had to step
Don't
over.
move a lamp.
I had to
Don't
step
move a
over shoes
picture.
to get to my quarter of the closet.
Get over
Her
it.
shoes.
Listen to me. Your lawsuit, Mr. McMahon, is nonsense. And so is your counterclaim. Nonsense. 2.5 years ago, you started a relationship. You moved into an apartment together. It didn't work out. Your entire investment was at most $425, which includes $150 for some old furniture and an old washer and dryer. How many times did you use the washer and dryer? I want you to think very carefully. How many times did you take clothes, like sheets and towels, from the bathroom and from the beds, take them, put them in the washing machine, wait till it was finished, take it out, put it in the dryer, and fold it up? How many times did you do that?
Plenty of times. If I wasn't being thrown out that week,
No,
I
no.
was doing laundry.
If
without
you
a
weren't
doubt.
being thrown, you were doing laundry?
Yeah.
Is that
I
right?
used to do her work
Is that
clothes
right?
for her.
He
Everything
was
else.
doing the laundry?
Some.
He was doing the
Few and far between. I was mostly doing all of our laundry. But yes, it was used for his clothes, which he had.
I didn't ask you it was used for his clothes. I'm talking about sheets and towels and stripping the beds and.
Oh, I did all that. I could hardly even get him to
No,
make
just
the bed,
listen-
never mind
listen to me.
strip it.
I'm talking about stripping the beds and putting the sheets in and
spend
putting the
enough
sheets
time in
back on the bed. Who did that?
I did all that.
You did that?
Yeah.
Well, you were honest about the other thing. He did do his own work clothes. Who did the cleaning in the apartment?
I did everything. I did everything, Your
Like
Honor.
what? I mean, who scrubbed the bathroom floor? Who scrubbed the
did.
kitchen floor?
I did. I wouldn't even let him do the dishes because he would do them in a half-mannered way and they would be all greasy, so I'd have to redo them anyway. That was his lame excuse for not being able to do anything because he didn't know how.
It's called learned helplessness. You do it wrong so nobody asks you to do it again.
That's not
Mr.
true at
McMahon, is it accurate that the housework was done by the defendant?
You know what? I didn't spend enough time in that
Oh, my
apartment to
goodness.
clean anything. If you want to be, if you want the real
No,
deal.
you spent some time there, sir.
Very
According to you,
little.
you spent a couple of months there straight, and in addition to the couple of months there straight, 2 or 3 days a week when you were going to your own place. So you were there long enough to dirty the kitchen, dirty the bathroom, dirty the tub, dirty all those things.
If I dirtied something, I cleaned it.
He did
That's
not.
I'm not
I've heard that before. Mr. McMahon, your lawsuit is nonsense, and so is your counterclaim. They're both dismissed. Get over it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
One of us was obligated to continue paying that lease, and I did, and I have been paying it ever since. He paid 2 months, and he was on a lease for a
He
year.
wanted me
So,
to pay it while I was living in.
oh well.
I didn't get treated fair in the relationship from Jump Street, and you know, I got taken advantage of.
And now the next case.
All parties on Sias versus Graham. Step forward, please.
55-year-old Asian arts instructor Ted Sias is suing 19-year-old carpet installer William Graham for assaulting him while riding his bike.
According to your complaint, Mr. Sias, you were riding your bike to work. What kind of work do you do?
I teach internal health arts in Huntington Beach.
In
I'm
a
doing-
school.
Yes, ma'am.
And a car that was being driven by one of these two young men
Mr. Graham.
somehow passed by you, and he shouted something out the window, which made you angry.
It startled me. Scared
Startled
me.
you.
Yes.
So you got angry.
Yes.
And what you did in response was to ride your bike on an overpass where you were, and when you saw his car passing under the underpass, you picked up a rock and threw it at his car.
Yes, ma'am, but it was actually a pebble, and I brought the approximate size that I dropped.
Pebble, rock, you threw a something at his car.
Yes.
That made Mr. Graham very angry, right?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And you got off the expressway to find him,
Yes, ma'am.
because you saw him do it.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a confrontation. And that's what this lawsuit is about, because you said that during the course of that confrontation, Mr. Graham injured you and broke your bike.
Yes.
So let's start out. You're pedaling along, going to work. His car comes alongside you, and what does he say to you?
It wasn't him. It was his passenger that screamed at me.
What did his passenger say?
I don't know. It was just a holler, a very loud holler. I wasn't.
Which startled you.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what did you do?
Well, I about fell off my bike. Then I picked up this little pebble, and I was thinking about dropping it. And when they pulled around, and he gave me the birdie, that was it. That's all it took to send me the rest of the way, so I did drop it. I wasn't dropping the pebble to cause damage. I was dropping the pebble as more of an act of, you do this to me, I do this to you, but I wasn't striving for revenge. I lost my head.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything to you, sir, that involved any physical touching.
I think
his passenger
yes, ma'am.
said something to startle you.
I think it's an accumulation of years of riding and getting people throwing things at me and hollering at me. I guess that one time, I've been tired, I was riding my bike for 12 miles that day. I just lost it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You see the passenger?
Yes, he was, ma'am.
Did you do that? Up! Right there.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ted Sias says William Graham assaulted him while out riding his bike. William claims Ted threw a rock at his car.
What was the first thing that was said?
I asked him, ma'am, I said, why did you throw a rock in my car? He then got off his bike, and he says, well, you know, you screamed at me. And I'm like, who screamed at you?
Well,
you know,
it's clear he didn't scream at you. Just a minute. He didn't scream at you.
Yes, ma'am, he didn't.
Somebody else did. Go ahead.
It could have been possible that we had been goofing around, laughing, whatever, you know, the case may be in the car, what you do with people.
Whatever, somebody in your car spooked him, right?
That must have happened somehow. It wasn't intentional.
Was he the passenger?
Yes, he was, ma'am.
Did you do that? Up! Right there. Right where the finger is. Did you do that to the bike rider?
I was...
No, look at me.
I'm sorry. I was singing in the car, yelling, having a good time, not yelling at anyone out of the car, intentionally.
Did you realize you had startled him?
No.
Now sit down. Go ahead.
Okay, so then he pushes me once. I push his hand down. I say, don't touch me again. He pushes me again. I push his hand down, and after I push his hand down the second time, he shove kicked me to my groin area, and I didn't do anything. Then I was going to call the cops. He got on his bike like he was going to leave, and I said, where are you going? And he said, oh, I'm leaving now, like that, and he's like, you're wasting my time. I said, yeah, thanks a lot. I just got my car painted. I just got my car painted, and he dropped the rock and chipped on the roof of my car. And he says, well, now it just gives you something to do, doesn't it? He gets back off his bike, pushes me one more time. I push his hand down again, and then he kicked me harder in the same exact area, the same type of kick in the groin. And at that time, I grabbed his leg. He went to swing at me, and I hit him in the head, and then I hit him a couple more times. He fell over his bike, which was right behind him. Once he was on the ground, I held him down. This is all in a position where I had a broken collarbone at the time because I was in an accident maybe a month before at the most, and I had a cast on my hand from torn ligaments. So I was really in no position to be starting a fight.
What kind of accident? Car accident?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Sayers, you want to tell me your version of the event, sir?
Basically, he's saying something effective, you're going to pay for it, you're going to pay for it, or you're going to apologize. I can't remember which one or both. And he kept trying to get closer to me, and I kept telling him to stay away. I said it numerous times. I did what's called a push kick towards his groin. It was not meant to cause any pain. He says, what was that?
But you did do that.
I did do that, yes, I did.
And he hadn't put his hands on you yet.
He was kept getting...
No, he had not put his hands on you.
No, ma'am, not yet. I did what I could, which was non-lethal. I pushed towards his face to make him lean back to go away. I pushed towards his groin.
He didn't kill you either, Mr. Sayers. That's not lethal.
If you look at the picture, you'll see it's probably lethal. My face doesn't look too pretty. I probably got a birthmark that'll last me the rest of my life. You want to...
Sure, I'll take a look.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's not lethal. Nasty, but not lethal.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You don't say anything in your complaint, Mr. Sayas, about your putting your hands on the defendant first. He's a young man, and very often people say, well, young kids, you know, they're going to lose their temper and they're going to get out of control. I think that it happens with men when they reach maybe age 50. You're not 50 yet, are you?
Nowhere near.
I know, they do have as sometimes what you describe as road rage. You went to the top of an overpass, you picked up a pebble. You say it was a very small pebble. It may have been, but certainly enough. If that falls on your car fast enough and shatters a windshield, that can cause you to lose control of the car, and it can cause you to go into a tree, another car, another person. It can cause very serious damage, injury, and can cause death. And then when he confronted you, when he stopped the car, which was his absolute right because he had done nothing to you, his partner over here maybe was singing too loud, maybe he was trying to frighten you, maybe he was acting like a jerk, which is possible, because I'm looking at him and it's possible. But he didn't do anything to you. When he confronted you, instead of apologizing, you put your hands on him first, twice. And it looks to me, at the end of the day, you got the worst of it.
Obviously.
That's too bad. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Yeah, this case is number 279 and 280 on the calendar in the matter of Aton versus Davis. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
I have two cases here. One is really a cross-complaint. Mrs. Aton, we're going to deal with your case first.
Yes.
You and the defendant are Brownie troop leaders.
Yes.
Which is part of the Girl Scouts. And how long have you known each other?
Approximately 2 years.
How long have you both been troop leaders?
A year.
Everybody knows about brownie cookies. Your daughter and her troop would sell cookies, and you would turn the money over to Miss Davis to put in the bank.
Her daughter was also in the trip, too.
Yes. Give her the money, she had the bank account, she'd put the money in the bank account, and then when it was all over, you would write a check to the Girl Scout Council for the cookies. And it is your claim that you gave her a substantial amount of money.
Yes.
After the sale. It was not all deposited in the account.
Right.
As a result of which the Girl Scout Council met and said they couldn't decipher where this money was, but since they delivered these dozens of boxes of cookies to both of you, you would each be responsible for half of the money.
Right.
You are suing Miss Davis for the half that you had to pay.
Yes.
Because you said, I gave her the money.
Yes.
How much money do you claim you gave her?
I gave her a total of $984.
Did you give her this money all at one time?
Yes, I did. My daughter was with me when I did that.
Over what period of time had you accumulated this $984?
3 days.
Who opened the bank account?
Maureen did.
In whose name?
Both of ours.
How many times had deposits been made in that account?
There was 1, 2, 3.
Who made the deposits?
Maureen made 2, I made 1.
So out of the 3 deposits, you made 2?
I remember making 1. If there's 2 down there, then I made 2.
Let me see what you have.
I was not able to get a hold of the bank records. They were subpoenaed.
Now, it is your claim, Miss Davis.
Here.
It is your claim, Miss Davis, that she did not give you $984.
Exactly.
How much did she give you?
She came to my house after what we call the last booth sale they were selling outside one of the supermarkets. And what she did is she had borrowed my daughter's wagon to haul the cookies around with. She came to my house after it was done, excited that they were all gone. She handed me a pencil box full of money and asked me to deposit this money.
I asked you for a deposit slip.
Wait a second. Wait. Let her tell a story, and then I'll come back to you. Okay?
She had no idea how much money was in this box. My husband and I sat down.
So she gave you a box?
She gave me her daughter's pencil box where they had used to put the money out for the sale that they were doing. This was a 1-day sale, not a 3-day sale. Yeah. Then my husband and I sat and counted it, divided all the 1s by 20s, paper clipped them all, and that's what I deposited in the bank.
And do you know how much that was?
I believe it was $236.
Now, let's get to the box. Did you bring money in a box?
Yes.
Was the money in the box separated as to bill denomination?
I had put 20s, 10s, 5s, and 1s.
Are you sure?
Yes, because that was the only way to make easiest change.
How many people were involved in this sale?
Maureen was supposed to show up at
Not
the
she.
sales.
No, how many people were actually involved with you in this sale on that day?
On that day, we had one other parent.
Now explain to me exactly how this worked. You set up outside a supermarket on a table?
We didn't have a table. We just had the wagon. The people said what kind they wanted. They gave the girls the cash. The girls gave it to me. I counted what needed to go back, and I handed it to the girls, and they handed it to their customer.
When do you claim, I want you to listen to me very carefully,
Okay.
was the last time you counted the money that you turned over to the defendant?
It was probably about 2 hours prior to us leaving. I wasn't sure what time we were going to leave.
Leave where?
Leave Sam Clubs. We were there from 10 o'clock to like 4:30, 5 o'clock.
And you brought all the money with you for the 3 days?
All except for $207, which was in my wet bar. And I asked her for a deposit slip, and her reply was, I can't find the bank stuff right now, so I'll get it to you when I can. And I said, all right. And then she said, with all that money laying around, I would spend it. I don't do that. That's not me.
Why didn't you make the deposit yourself?
I didn't have any of the bank stuff. It all was mailed to her house. She had all the bank access, not me.
Well, you did make one deposit yourself.
After she gave me a deposit slip.
Okay, but you can go into a bank.
They wouldn't receive the money without original deposit slip for the bank.
Oh, no. That's ridiculous.
Well,
Miss Aton, that's ridiculous. If you
That's
go
what
in
the
with your
lady
account
told me.
number, listen to me, if you go into a bank with your account number.
I didn't have the account number.
We didn't have
I
anything.
didn't have anything.
Shh. But you could have. I mean, it wasn't a secret. You say, give me the account number, then and you can do it. Then you don't even have to keep money in your wet bar, a couple $100 in your wet bar.
But mine got deposited.
Well, she deposited money. She says that you gave her $236 in cash.
I gave her more than that.
I understand that you say you gave her that. But she did, in fact, deposit $236 in cash.
It's
no?
not in here.
Did you deposit it?
Yes, I did. I deposited what I had.
You said it was $236.
I believe it was around $236.
It's not registered on there that I could see.
What date?
I'm not sure the date. It was one of the dates her husband at school one day came up to me and asked me if I had deposited the money. I told him that I had. I was actually on my way to the bank to do that.
You lied about it.
Listen, Mr. Aton, don't shout out that you don't want me to think you're a hothead, do you?
Well, I can be. Everybody can be sometimes, but I'll restrain myself.
Well, I would like to have some proof, Miss Davis, that you did in fact deposit the $236.
I haven't seen any of the deposits that had been done. I tried
No,
to get
this was a deposit that you made.
Right.
You went to the bank, you deposited $236. You got a receipt. Where's the receipt?
I do not have the receipt, Your Honor.
What'd you do with it?
I gave it to Mrs. Aton.
No, you
Wait,
did not.
just a second. Hey.
I handed her all the paperwork with all the receipts.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was aware of this, Your Honor.
I don't care whether they're aware of it, madam. You're not even dealing with your money. It belongs to the Girl Scout Council of America. And you don't do anything in that fiduciary capacity that is illegal. You got it?
Proceeds from the troops' cookie sale. Maureen denies the charge and says the Atons are harassing her.
You have a problem. At least with $236, you have a problem. You have a problem with $236 because you knew you were coming to court today, not only on her complaint, but on a cross complaint that you had. You've had months to resolve this issue. And you could have easily said to the bank, I want a copy of the receipt for my $236.
I had asked for a copy of the stuff, but apparently they were subpoenaed and the bank went through their lawyers and I was told that I could not be issued those.
Oh, that's baloney. It is going to be, Ms. Aton, absolutely impossible to ascertain whether the money was taken out of your cash box.
Does that also give her the right to forge my name on the bank documents and on here?
On where?
On the bank authority. for the council, too. And she even misspelled my name.
Your Honor, can I say something?
This is not an issue at hand, and if she wants to proceed
That is the reasoning that the council decided to only have me pay half.
Tell her what we saw at the bank.
That's not correct.
And at the bank, they would not give me any more of the statements and stuff because they realized that my name was forged also on the bank stuff.
You mean as an owner of the account?
Yeah.
And I can explain that, Your Honor.
Let me hear you.
I had gone into the bank and opened up our checking account for the Girl Scouts because they needed it to be open. I opened it with my own money. At that time, the signature card sat in the bank for at least 3 weeks. Mrs. Aton would not or did not go in to sign the signature card.
Why didn't you bring one out and give it? Shut up! Why didn't you pick up the signature card and give it to her and say, sign this off and I'll bring it back to the bank?
Because we very rarely saw each other in the morning.
Whether morning, afternoon, a bank card could be signed morning, afternoon, evening.
She knows where I live.
You can't sign somebody else's name to an account.
But she had told me to do, Your Honor, and it came from her. I didn't even know her name was Marcelinda. I've always known her as Marcy.
No.
She asked...
Go ahead.
She asked me to sign her name to that so that the bank account could get opened. I did that. Now, I realize...
Where did you do that? In the bank?
In the bank.
Are you telling me you sat before a bank officer and they allowed you to sign somebody else's name?
I did.
Well, you did. And this is the same bank that wouldn't give you a copy of your deposit slip of $236 that would allow you to sit there and forge somebody's signature in a bank document?
No.
Come on, Miss Davis. It all doesn't sound very kosher to me. In any event, I have $236 that is unaccounted for. Can't account for the rest. I'm not prepared to find that she's a thief. Forged your name. She says it was with the bank's consent. That's very stupid.
Yes, I realized that after the fact that it probably wasn't something that should have been done.
Absolutely.
But we were friends, and I didn't think anything of it when she asked me to do this.
Yeah, you don't do that. I mean, I don't open an account by forging the name of my children. I don't care whether you're your friend or not. You just don't open an account that way.
She was aware of this, Your Honor.
I don't care whether they're aware of it, madam. You're not even dealing with your money. You have a fiduciary relationship towards this money. It is not yours. It belongs to the Girl Scout Council of America. And you don't do anything in that fiduciary capacity that is illegal. It is illegal to open an account with a forged name. You got it? I don't care friends, not friends. This is a business. All right. Switch places.
Yep.
Your cross-complaint is for harassment.
Yes, ma'am.
You're claiming that the defendant, Mr. Aton, who has an acknowledged hot temper and who's going to uncross his arms as we speak, has harassed you in front of your child. Tell me about it.
It started the end of school year last year when this money went missing. The first episode he did was in front of my daughter and in front of a bunch of parents, and I was furious at the point that he would do this in front of everybody. I left school and I went to Mrs.
What did he do?
He sat there and yelled and called me a thief, a liar, every four-letter word you can think of.
Where was this?
At the school where we pick up our daughters.
Where at the school?
Right in front of where their classroom is where
Inside the school?
Inside the school grounds.
Well, tell me exactly what he said to you.
He came up to me and he called me a thief, called me a liar, told me he was going to get me, that I stole this money, and my daughter and I proceeded to walk away, where he just proceeded to follow us and kept calling us names.
I believe he did that.
And I went to his wife's work.
I didn't have to ask him. I believe he did it. He can't contain himself here.
I went to his wife's work where I sat my daughter down in a little play area they have there and asked to speak with her. We went in the back. I told his wife what had happened, and she was appalled. She started crying. She apologized. She came out to my daughter and apologized. And she told my daughter, she would talk to him, that he wasn't being very nice. And
I believe that too. Right?
I did say that. Just
a
to
second.
keep her working with me.
Stand up here, please. Ms. Aton, let's be very honest with each other. So far,
yes,
we're getting somewhere. She did come to your place of work and say that
yelling
there was
across my platform with a bunch of customers in it.
Absolutely not.
And she said Bill was ready to kick Dan's. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, honey.
Hey. You don't go inside for a minute.
I don't think you're following me, Ms. Aton. My point is, immediately after she saw your husband at the school, she came to your place of employment very upset, right?
Right.
And you did have a discussion.
Yes.
All that leads me to believe that this actually occurred at the school. All right?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, it goes much deeper than that, much deeper. Insults, slandering my child.
He even went up to my daughter, my 7-year-old daughter, and told her that her mommy was no good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brownie troop leader Maureen Davis is suing her co-leader's husband, Dan Aton, for harassment.
What else?
Mr. Aton came up to me with his fists clenched and started proceeding to yell and scream at me in front of another parent. The parent.
What did he say?
He proceeded then to call me a lion and proceeded to tell me that I was a thief and I was no good. And I asked him, I was talking to another parent, I politely asked him to leave me alone, and he would not. The other parent then walked away. I asked him again to leave me alone. At that time, my daughter, we were right in front of my daughter's classroom where the door was open, and he would not leave. When my daughter came out, I took my daughter, I proceeded to walk away to the crosswalk. He proceeded to follow me and said, "You'll get yours," and he walked away. This happened every day when I went to school. He had something nasty to say every single day, until the fact that he even went up to my daughter, my 7-year-old daughter, and told her that her mommy was no good. I went to the police department 3 times. The first day of school I went, right after this happened, because my daughter was terrified.
Okay. According to what I read here, there is some indication that you did get a restraining order against
Yes, I
him.
did.
When was that?
On October 13th.
Do you have a copy of that restraining order?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please? There has not been a hearing yet on this.
It's on the 27th.
Well,
they made me get an emergency at the police department.
To me. Shh. Do you have an attorney?
No.
Well, you will, I'm sure, get one. I am not going to take your testimony here today with regard to these allegations of harassment, sir. Do you understand? Because there is currently an action pending, and according to this, you are in the interim not to go near the plaintiff, her husband, her child, and stay 100 yards away from all of those people, their place of work, their place of residence, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that was done on an ex-parte basis, so the court had absolutely no information from your side as to whether any of these allegations were true.
Yes, I haven't been able to say anything about it. She's been able to...
Did you understand?
Yes.
You will have your chance after you speak to an attorney. You got it?
Yes.
I have to dismiss the harassment complaint. You can refile it after the action is concluded in the Superior Court, but I'm not going to put him in the position of having to testify without benefit of counsel here when he has a current action pending. I suggest you get a lawyer, Mr. Aton. You're going to need one, because if you have a hot temper, and there is no question in my mind that with what I've seen today, that there may be some validity to her complaints, that if she gets a restraining order against you, and you violate it, you could go to jail.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She acknowledges that you gave her $236. Okay. She cannot present to me any proof from her bank, the bank that permitted her to forge your signature on a signature card, according to her, yet would not give her a copy of the receipts. So I'm perfectly comfortable on your complaint awarding you $236.
People can be provoked, Your Honor.
I didn't provoke you here,
No,
sir.
I'm not
Nothing here provoked you.
No.
Nothing here provoked you. But I could tell that you are easily provoked. You're easily provoked because you think that this is a major deal. We're talking about money. We're not talking about your health.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, it goes much deeper than that, much deeper. Insults, slandering my child. I'm very protective of my family. I almost lost all 3 of them. I almost lost her to cancer. Almost lost my youngest.
So if you are smart and you know that this is money, and you have your wife, and she has her health, right? Money. Not important. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now, this is case number 179 on the calendar in the matter of Howard versus Yancey. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats, please.
I have two cases in this mishmash that I'm going to try to sort out. According to you, Mr. Howard, you and the defendant dated for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have certain complaints against her that date back to December
Yes, ma'am.
of 1999.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
So let's deal with them. First, you claim that your now ex-girlfriend,
Yes, ma'am.
sometime in early December, was angry with you about something and she keyed your car.
Certainly.
Certainly. Then, after she keyed your car, a couple of days later, you had a fight and she vandalized your house.
Right.
And then you complain that in April you bought her a ring.
Yes, ma'am.
So first she vandalized your car, then she vandalized your house, and then you bought her a ring.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I mean, I'm trying to just follow the scenario here.
Okay.
And you claim that this ring that you purchased for her was not an engagement ring, and there was an agreement with her that she would pay for half of the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what you want, half of the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me the circumstances surrounding her keying your car.
It was about 7:45 in the evening. She called me and said, I'm getting off work. Can you come and get me? So I go out to pick her up. She got in the car, and I said we were probably traveling for probably about 10 or 15 minutes. And out of the middle of nowhere, we're sitting at the red light, and she smacks me. And I'm like, what was that about? And she was like, because I think it was one of her friends indicated to her that they saw somebody in the car with me earlier that day.
Of the female persuasion?
Yes, ma'am. So I said, Chris, what are you talking about? I've been at work all day. What are you talking about? So I proceeded, because I had to go back to my office to pick up one of my employees. So I went back to my office. I got out of my truck. I went into the building. When I came back, one of my employees said, she just keyed your truck.
No, I can't hear that, sir.
Huh?
Unless you have the employee here, I can't hear what somebody else said.
Okay. And I asked her, I said, did you just key my truck? She said, yeah.
So you asked her?
Yeah, I asked her. And she said, yeah, I keyed your truck.
Why'd you do that?
I didn't, Your Honor.
Did you say you had?
No.
Did you key it a little bit? Now listen, that's not saying he didn't forgive you.
Okay.
Because he might have forgiven you later, because he did buy the ring, right?
Right.
But you have to tell me the truth, because then if you tell a lie to me once, then I don't believe anything else that you say. Do you understand?
Yes.
Did you key his truck a little bit?
No, Your Honor, I didn't.
Did you have any discussion with him about keying your truck?
No, not that I did it, but we discussed it.
When?
I don't remember the dates or whatnot, but I was driving his truck one day, and I noticed that it was dented and scratched up. And I said, you know, your truck is keyed up. And he said that he had no knowledge of it.
Okay. So after she said, according to you, that yes, she keyed your truck, what did you do?
I was angry about my truck, and I asked her, I said, you know, why do you always tear up my car when you're mad at me? My car doesn't do anything to you. You know what I'm saying?
And did you see her the next day?
As a matter of fact, I did, because I indicated to her, I said, well, my insurance company says if I know who vandalized the truck, then I have to file charges against them, you know? And she was like, well, I can't believe you're going to file charges against me. I'm not going to file charges against you.
So you signed a statement to the insurance company that you didn't know?
I never signed a statement. I didn't even file the claim, Your Honor.
You have pictures of the scratch marks?
As a matter of fact, I don't, because when we went to get them developed, yesterday they exposed them.
So you have no pictures?
No, ma'am, I don't.
You have an estimate?
No, I didn't, because
Fine, then let's move on from the truck. Let's move on to the house.
Okay.
Tell me what happened.
Well, I had some friends that came over. In particular, one of my friends that came over there, she suspected that I was messing around with. And that wasn't necessarily the truth.
Not necessarily?
Not necessarily, no, ma'am. Chris had really aggravated me that particular day. So I kind of wanted her to leave. But Chris is one of those people who just would not leave. All right? So I asked another young lady if she would take Chris out the house and go for a ride or whatever. And she said, yeah. So the young lady and Chris left and went for a ride. So I went upstairs to take a shower. Chris came back. She was ringing the doorbell. My instructions to the people who were at my house that particular night was, if Chris comes back, do not let her in. So when they refused to let her in, Chris broke the window.
Did you break the window?
I didn't mean to break the window, Your Honor.
So the answer is you broke the window?
Yes, I did break the window.
And how did you break the window?
knocking on it. It was this thin window. I was knocking on the window. At first I was ringing the doorbell. As I was knocking on the window, my hand went straight through the window. No cuts or bruises.
Okay. And then what happened?
Chris was pulling off in her car as I was coming downstairs, so we started to clean up all the glass. About 15 minutes later, Chris came back, and she stabbed my back tire out my car.
Did you see her do that?
As a matter of fact, I did, because I couldn't get out the house in time enough before she was able to get back to her car. And I did get back to her car, but she had rolled her window up and took off.
Were you really mad?
I didn't do that, Your Honor.
Didn't slash his tire?
No.
If I might say something, Ashante was a witness to the fact that she did stab my tire.
Step up. Over there. You were there that evening?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me, where were you when you saw her slash the tire?
On the couch.
You were sitting on the couch?
Yes, because I heard somebody pull it back up. So I looked out the window because the window was already broken, so we was trying to fix it. She was getting out of her car, running up to the car, stabbing her tire, jumped back in her car and burrowed out. So, yes, Your Honor, she slashed the tire. I was there. I seen that.
Okay, so she slashed your tire.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have it fixed?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I did.
How much did it cost you?
It was approximately $148.47.
So you bought a new tire?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And you have a bill for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
Yes.
Okay, so you forgave her for breaking your window, you forgave her for slashing your tire.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Your Honor, I felt as if it was necessary to forgive her because, in many senses, it was inappropriate for me to have a guest at my house who should not have been there.
They're not necessarily guest.
Right. It was rather inappropriate for me to have her there.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Where's the ring?
I lost the ring.
Did you buy her a new one?
As a matter of fact, I did, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Corey Howard claims ex-girlfriend Christina Yancey keyed his truck and vandalized his home. Corey also says Christina owes him for the value of a ring.
So let me hear about it.
As far as he's saying about he had a female guest there was no one there but my best friend, Shantae, and Mr. Howard.
So what were you angry about? You did go for a ride with this young lady.
I didn't go for a ride anywhere. I stayed there, and then I left. I went to the store. I came back.
And when you came back, they wouldn't let you in.
They wouldn't let me in.
Why do you think they wouldn't let you in?
I have the slightest idea.
You have to have some idea, madam, otherwise they're acting in a psychotic fashion.
Well, there was another car. It was a car there. When I left, the car wasn't there. But when I came back, the car was there. It was another car there.
Another car there that you suspected was a woman's car?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Well, that, you know, something must have been going through your mind, madam. You're banging at the door with sufficient force to break a window. They won't let you in the house. You must have been pretty annoyed. He was your boyfriend, right?
You're right.
Okay. Did you ever have a discussion with her about the tire?
As a matter of fact, I did. And
I assumed that you did. Yeah. Let me about the discussion about the tire.
Yeah. And she said, the reason why I cut your tire was because you wouldn't answer the door.
Sounds right.
You know, and
Sounds right. Sounds right. Okay. I have the tire here on your side, sir.
Yes.
Let's get to the ring.
Okay. The very day that she purchased the bracelet that she's wearing right now, she said to me...
You were shopping together?
Yeah, we were shopping together.
Okay, so you went into a jewelry store.
We went into a jewelry store.
That's always dangerous.
Which was owned by one of my friends, okay?
Yes.
And she says, I want to buy... I had given her like $300 that particular day. And she said she...
You gave her $300 in cash?
Yes, ma'am, while we were shopping, because we split up in the mall, so I gave her $300.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That was nice of you.
I was very nice to her, Your Honor. And what happened was, she came in the jewelry store, and she saw that very bracelet that she's wearing right now, and I says, I can't afford it, I'm buying me a ring. You know, I said, I gave you some money, so you buy it. So she went in her pocket and bought that bracelet. At the time, she says, oh, I want that ring right there. I can't afford that ring. I said, but if you split the cost with me, I will buy the ring. And she agreed to split the cost for the ring.
How much was the ring?
I think the ring was like a wholesale. I got the ring at a wholesale value, so I think it ended up being like $4 something. You know, but the retail value on it was like $1,000.
I don't care what the retail value is. How much did you pay for the ring?
I didn't pay anything, Your Honor. When we met up, he took me to the jewelry store. He had a diamond ring in his hand. He said, "Do you like this ring?" I said, "Oh, yes, it's beautiful." He was like, "Do you want it?" I was like, "Yes." He put it on my finger. He paid for the ring.
Well, he says he paid for the ring, but he says that that was sort of extra. He'd given you $300 and you saw something that you liked for over and above, and you said you'd split the cost with him.
This is what I saw that I liked it, the tennis bracelet, which was $99.
Right.
I paid for it out the money he bought me.
So you're wearing that, right? You're wearing the tennis bracelet. Where's
Right.
the ring?
I lost the ring. And I told him that.
That's not what she told me, Your Honor. She indicated that she had placed the ring in a jewelry box in her room, and she said that her mother's boyfriend had went into the room and stole the ring when she was not at home. And I said, how did your mom's boyfriend steal the ring when you're not at home?
Did you buy her a new one?
As a matter of fact, I did, Your Honor. As a matter of fact, I did buy her a new one.
What? No, it says that, says that here.
So I went back to my friend Tony and I said, Tony, you know that ring I bought? I said, do you have another one just like it? Well, of course, this ring was a very nice ring.
All right, so you got her another one.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's the other one that he got you?
It's at home, Your Honor.
Uh-huh. She didn't offer to pay for half of that one.
No, she didn't, Your Honor.
All right. All right, so far what I have on your side, sir, it's $148.47. Because if you were really interested in getting half the money back for this original ring that you bought, you wouldn't have bought her another one, right?
No, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, well, it's necessarily true. So on your side is $148.47 because she slashed your tire. Madam. Okay. Now that takes care of that case. Now, I want you to stand over there.
Okay.
You to sit down over there. And I would like Miss Catherine Yancey right over there. Party's been sworn?
They've already been sworn, Judge.
Good, thank you. Now, you're her mother.
Yes.
It is your complaint that Mr. Howard vandalized your house and later set it on fire. And that, according to you, happened on the 6th of June.
Yes.
Of 2000. So let me hear about it.
I came home from a meeting approximately 9:30 in the evening. My daughter told me that Corey Howard came to my house looking for her, said that he broke my front window. He went to the car and got a tire iron or hammer or something and broke the front window. So I was going to the police station to make a report, and he pulls up on the side street. So I pulled next to him to ask him, why does he keep coming to my house? Why does he keep coming around? He said that he wanted everything that he ever bought for that B. Specifically, he wanted this ring. So I asked her where the ring was. She told me she lost the ring. He said that she told him that my boyfriend stole the ring. And I told him that that was ridiculous. I didn't want to hear anymore because there's no way that my boyfriend would steal a ring.
She's a fibber, you know, your daughter. She's a fibber.
Okay, well, I know my boyfriend would not
No,
steal
I
a ring.
understand that.
So I took off to go to the police station. He followed me on my bumper, you know, trying to intimidate me. We continued to the police station to make the report. When I came home from the police station, my deck had been set on fire. Neighbor across the street said he saw.
Don't tell me what your neighbor across the street said unless that person is here to testify. Step up next to your mother, please. Let me just hear about the broken window.
Well, me and Corey, he called, and he was like, you know, do you want to hook up? And I was like, no. He's like, why? Asking me why, and my phone hung up on him. I was on the porch with my neighbor at the time. He pulled up. I ran in the house because I didn't know what he was going to do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She says, you didn't have to give me the money for the abortion because my real baby daddy gave me the money for the abortion.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Yancey claims her daughter's ex-boyfriend, Corey Howard, broke into her home and set fire to her deck.
And then what happened?
He's ringing the doorbell. B, come out of here. You better bring your butt out of here. Cussing, just making a lot of ruckus. I'm looking out the window from my room, and I see Corey pop his trunk and get like a tire thing out. He proceeded to walk towards the house with this thing in his hand. At that point, I ran out the back door, over the fence and next door to my neighbor's house. When I was outside, I heard a slash noise. Finally, when he did pull off, I went back to my house next door. My mother's stained glass window was broken.
Did you do that?
No, ma'am, I did not break the window. As a matter of fact, on the particular day that she claims that I broke the window, I was in a staff meeting with all 4 of my sales managers on that particular day.
So
Now,
you're telling me that not only didn't you break her window, but you didn't see her mother that day either. So her mother's lying too. You didn't even see her mother?
I did see her mom that day.
Driving away from her house?
No, I was not driving away from her house when I saw her mother.
Where were
Okay,
you?
as a matter of fact, maybe I should just tell how all of this originated. I was out on vacation, all right? Christina called me the whole time I was in New Orleans, okay? Christina says, I'm pregnant. I want you to give me $300 to have an abortion. I said, Christina, I'm not giving you anything, okay? First of all, because I'm not the only person you're sleeping with, okay? On this particular day, Christina called me, and she says, I just called you to tell you that you didn't have to give me the money for the abortion because my real baby daddy gave me the money for the abortion. I said, hey, ain't no problem, wasn't no sweat off my back. You understand what I'm saying? Even though I was angry, infuriated, okay, I was just really upset, you know. I passed by her house. I was on the phone with Christina. We got into an argument. I did not break the window. I did not set their house on fire or whatever.
Forget house on fire. There are no witnesses to you setting a house on fire. She says she saw you break the window.
I did not break a window.
Did you bang on her door?
As a matter of fact, I did not, Your Honor, because I never went to her house. I'm not
As a
going to lie.
matter of fact, okay. How much did it cost you to fix the window?
I haven't had the window fixed yet.
So you have no estimate?
Yeah, I have estimates of the fire damage.
I'm not interested in the fire damage. You have no witnesses with regard to the fire damage.
Okay, what I do have is police reports where my witnesses did give a report to the police.
That's insufficient in court. What's sufficient is that you have a witness.
And I also have phone numbers that they said you may be able to call. Both of the witnesses are there.
No. That's a far too serious issue to make a determination by picking up a phone.
Will you not take the police report with arson report?
Oh, absolutely not. Did they arrest him?
No, they won't arrest him.
Of course they won't arrest him. If you had a witness that the police found believable that witnessed him committing arson, they would have arrested him. Arson is a very, very serious felony. Do you understand? You have an estimate for the window.
It has the fire and the window. Repair front stained glass window,
Yeah,
yes.
that I'll see.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
The stained glass window was $75. Listen, I don't think that either one of you two young people would know the truth if it came up and bit you in the behind. I think that when you come to court and you testify in a court, the judge is supposed to be able to make a determination based on truthfulness. That's a hard thing when it comes to you two. However, I do find, madam, that you slashed his tire, and therefore he is getting the $148 that he spent to fix the tire that you slashed. And I do find, sir, that you broke a window. I can't make a determination that you committed arson, although that would be a really serious crime. But I do find that you did, in fact, break a window, and according to the estimate from our insurance, it's going to cost $75. So in your case, I'm awarding you $75, and on your case, sir, $148.47. Thank you. This case is over.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a...
Your Honor, this is case number 215 on the calendar in the matter of Warner versus Reno. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You're welcome. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Warner, you really don't know anything about this case. You are merely the owner of the car that was damaged. Is that right?
Correct.
And it's your granddaughter who was driving the car or the truck.
Correct.
So why don't you have a seat, and I'd like to see Jade Warner, please. Step up. Miss Warner, according to what I've read, you and the defendant were friends for a while, and then you had sort of a falling out over a boy. It was your boyfriend or her boy's boyfriend, and then it became your boyfriend. Whatever. It's nonsense. In any event, this thing culminated, according to you, when the defendant keyed your car. And you say that happened on the 19th of August.
Yes.
Where did it happen?
It happened at Holly Kellogg's house.
And what makes you think that the defendant, who denies that she did this, was involved in keying your car?
At 9:55 p.m. on August 19th, Holly called me because she needed a ride home from her work. I went up there to go pick her up, and as I was walking out with Holly, Jessica was standing by my car.
Okay, so you know Holly?
Yes.
Well, according to your answer, I read your answer, you said she was a friend of yours.
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Okay, I was leaving Coach's, and...
Coach's is what?
Holly's work. And Jessica was in a truck, a white truck, with her other friend, and they followed me from Holly's work to Holly's house, which is about 5 miles. As we went into Holly's house, I parked my car. We went in there. I was getting a couple of things out of Holly's room. Holly was closing her blinds. As she was looking in her blinds, she saw Jessica circle.
Don't tell me what she saw. Where is Holly?
Holly is right there.
Step up, please. No, you can stay.
Okay.
Right next to her. All right, so the plaintiff picked you up from work?
Correct.
Drove you home?
Correct.
You all went inside. According to the plaintiff, you observed something when you were closing the blinds when you got into your house. What did you observe?
As I was closing the blinds, I looked out my window and noticed there was a white truck and pulled up like closely to my driveway, and we have a security light outside that comes on and like a motion detector. And I looked out to see a like white truck with designs on the side. I noticed that it was the truck that Miss Reno had been riding in as they had followed me to my house from work.
How do you know that they had followed you home? Did you see the truck?
Yes. As I got into the car, I noticed that someone was following us closely, and I was looking behind to figure out who it was, and I noticed it was them, and I proceeded to ask Jade if they had had a problem or something, because I didn't understand why.
When you said you saw it was them, did you turn around to look in a rearview mirror?
I turned around and looked, and she had switched lanes, and so I saw that. I saw that it was completely those Jessica and her friend in the white truck.
Okay. Now, when you got to your house, did you see the truck? Before you looked out the window?
Correct.
Did you see the truck as you pulled into...
No.
Pulled up to your truck?
As I had made a right-hand turn to turn onto one of the streets that leads me to my house, they had gone straight. As I watched them, like, speed off, I saw Jessica with her hand out the window, flipping us off, yelling something, and I didn't understand at that point what was going on, because as far as I knew, her and I had been friends.
Okay. Now you're inside the house, closing your blinds. Now you're going to tell me exactly what you saw.
Okay. As I look out my blinds, I see that there's the same white truck. There was a driver in the car, which was Jessica's friend. Jessica was walking around Jade's car, and her hand was down here. And I was trying to figure out what was going on, and as I looked and glanced a little bit longer, I could see that she was keying her car. And I didn't want to walk outside, so I stayed inside and yelled for my mom, and my mom came out, and then I saw the truck speed off.
Then you went outside after this?
Correct.
What did you observe when you went outside?
There was key marks on my car.
Do you have photographs?
Yeah.
May I see them, please?
On the photographs, you can see the metal that has been, but it's clearly the 4 panels on each side of the car.
Certainly is. Okay, Ms. Reno, let's hear you.
Okay, I brought my friend Jessica.
Don't tell me you brought your friend. You look at me.
Okay, about 9:20, my friend had picked me up from my house. We went over to my friend Jason's house, and he wasn't there. His roommate had told us that he was going to Coach's to have dinner with his family and then going to Sharky's to play pool. So we went over to Coach's, and there we had seen Jade, and we saw her car after we came out. And I had wondered how she got in because she's not even 18. So I had asked someone that was in her car if she was coming to hang out or whatever, and how she got in because she's not 18. And she said that they were here to pick up Holly. And I was like, oh, okay, I want to see Holly because me and Holly are friends. So she came after she had said that. She came outside, and Holly said hi, and we gave each other a hug, and then we proceeded on about our night. They got in their car, they left. We got in the truck, we left. We followed them to about Avenue L. They turned right, and we turned left. We proceeded to go to Sharky's, which is a pool hall, to look for my friend, and he wasn't there, and so we just proceeded to go to Jessica's house, which we were there by 10 o'clock.
Now, who were you with that night?
Jessica.
Jessica, what's her last name?
Pavovarov.
Is that you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Step up. Do you know Holly?
No, Your Honor, I don't. I met her just briefly at a party they had at their house.
Do you know Jade?
I met Jade before. She spent the night at our house when she was 14 years old.
How long ago was that?
Almost two and a half, Your Honor.
Were you driving a white truck that night?
Yes, I was.
Does the white truck have any markings on it?
It has a big dent in the side, and it has pinstriping on it.
You yourself have never had a falling out with Miss Warner,
No,
is that right?
no.
But you know that Miss Reno has had some problems with her.
Well, from what I knew, they were friends, and I don't know what happened between them. They just stopped hanging out.
Okay. Now, you heard Holly tell me that at some point when the cars separated, after she was picked up from work, that Miss Reno gestured out her car window to their car and said something. Did you hear that?
No, Your Honor. What's funny is from where they live and where we live and all the way to Sharkey's, it's totally the distance. We're going the opposite way. And we have a map right here that shows that it's the opposite way. And my mom was at home when we got there, and we got there, it was before even 10. So if this happened at, what, 9:55, when this supposedly happened, then there's no possible way because we were at home.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The cops went to the house, and Jade had said that Jessica had keyed Jade's car. And then we got another call, and Jessica's car had been egged with 82 eggs.
That's more information than I asked for.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 16-year-old Jade Warner says former high school friend, 18-year-old Jessica Reno, keyed her grandfather's car.
Okay. What time that evening did you get picked up at work?
About 10:15. I hadn't clocked out till 10:12 that evening.
And how long does it take you to get home?
Takes me about 10 minutes.
So you were at home by 10:30?
Correct.
And it's your statement that you were in your house at 10:30?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to hear from your mother.
That's good, Your Honor.
Your last name?
Pivovarov.
Do you recall the evening of August 19th?
Yes, I do.
How do you recall that evening?
Because Jessie had come home from San Diego to visit her friend, and I had gone to bed early because I was very tired, and I have a little dog that sleeps with me, and just before 10 it started barking and woke me up, and I had seen my clock on the end table, and it's a digital, but I only could see the first number, and it was 9 something, because the first digit of the clock I could see, and I had my Bible and my book studies on my stand, and it was covering the last couple numbers. And I tried to quiet my dog down, and she wouldn't relax, so I finally got up, and the girls were in the kitchen talking and snacking. So I sat up until probably about 12 o'clock that night with them talking. So they were in, I would say, at least a couple minutes before 10.
Were you contacted by the police that night?
I wasn't, but I was there when Jessica Reno's mom, Pat, called the house and said the police had been at her house. I was sitting at the table with the girls when they called. And the police had asked, I believe, my address and stuff, but they never did come over.
Approximately what time did you receive that phone call?
12:30.
No.
I don't know. I don't even know what time it was. Probably 11:30, 12. I don't know.
And you stayed downstairs with them the entire evening?
Yeah, until I went to bed, and it was after 12, and I finally went to bed, and then they were still up talking.
Were you there when the phone call came in from Jessica's mother?
Yes, I was.
Did you speak to Jessica's mother?
I don't think I did.
Well, let me ask you this question. Clearly, when her mother called, she said something about the police wanting to speak to Jessica?
Well, my daughter answered the phone.
When the phone rang and it was Jessica's mom on the phone, what did she say to you?
She said, I need to speak with Jessica. And I said, okay. And then Jessica started talking to her mom, and she's like, what? What are you talking about? You know?
So there came a time, I assume, when Jessica got off the phone with her mom. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And did she tell you what had happened?
Yes.
What did she say during the course of the conversation with you about the conversation she had with her mother?
She said that the cops went to the house, and they said that Jade had called the cops and said that Jessica had keyed Jade's car. And then we got another call later saying Jessica's car had been egged with 82 eggs, and it's a coincidence that Jade's car got keyed, and Jade thought it was Jessica, so all of a sudden Jessica's car got egged with 82 eggs, and the house.
Just a second, I'm not finished.
Yes, ma'am.
That's more information than I asked for. Now, you got off the phone with Jessica's mom. The police were looking for her. Is that right? That's what your mother told you?
Yes.
And you knew that your daughter and Jessica had been out together that night.
That's right, Your Honor.
And then you went to bed.
Right.
You didn't call back Jessica's mother?
No.
You weren't concerned that if they were looking for Jessica about something that happened that night, perhaps your daughter was involved?
Because...
No, I'm just asking you. You weren't concerned that if the police
Yes,
were looking
I was,
for your
but
daughter...
I knew.
Let me finish. You weren't concerned that if the police were looking for Jessica because of an incident that happened that night, because I assume they got off the phone and told you what the police were looking for her for,
Yes,
right?
Your Honor.
And I assume that you knew that the two girls were together.
That's right.
So it would seem logical to me as a parent that you would want to get this information about where these two girls were accused of being that night, at least from her mother, not from what she's reporting to you. But you went to bed.
Yes, because Mrs. Reno had talked to the police.
How do you know that?
Because she said the police had been at her house.
Right.
Had been at her
That's
house.
what I'm saying. But
Oh,
Jessica
sorry.
reported that to you,
Right.
correct?
Right.
Jessica's reporting all of this to you about the conversation.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So Jessica's reporting about the conversation to you. And you as a parent of a young girl, knowing that they're out together that night, don't pick up the phone to call the other mother? You
No.
went to sleep?
No, because she told Jessica the cops had been there. The incident happened after 10, and I knew the girls were at my house, so I knew they couldn't have done it.
Well, then I would have picked up the phone and made a phone call to either the police or to her mother and said, that's impossible. How could they be looking for Jessica and Jessica when they were both here sitting in my kitchen having cookies and milk?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If somebody said to you, your daughter has just been accused of being involved in a crime, you wouldn't go to sleep and say, I hope somebody figures this out. I hope we have Sherlock Holmes on the case.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jade Warner says former friend Jessica Reno owes for keying her grandfather's car.
Okay. Now, one of my children were accused of being involved in a vandalism, and I knew that my children were sitting at the kitchen table with me, I would have called back Jessica's mother and said to give me the name of the police officer who just called you, because I have to call them immediately and tell them that the girls were sitting with me for the last hour and a half. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Have a seat. Let me see estimates for the damage to the car.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Right.
Your Honor.
Who wants to say something? Sure.
I'm Jessica's mom.
Mm-hmm.
The girls were at my house, left at 9:40. We have brought a map, or 9:20, I'm sorry, of the 3 places they went.
I don't believe that they went to the 3 places, madam. Your daughter does not deny the fact that she was at Coach's. The only discrepancy is where they went after Coach's. The only defense that they have is that they went directly to Jessica Two's house where they were sitting in the kitchen having milk and cookies at the time of this incident. I don't need a map. I need the truth. And she knows exactly what I'm talking about. Because if you are a concerned parent, now just figure out what I just said to her. If somebody called your house and said to you, your daughter has just been accused of vandalizing property or being involved in a crime, and you knew she was sitting at your kitchen table during that time, all night, would you not contact the police and tell them that immediately? Would you not do that?
I would do that.
Of course. You wouldn't go to sleep and say, I hope somebody figures this out. I hope we have Sherlock Holmes on the case. You would pick up the phone and you would call immediately. This lady, who's a very nice lady, has a daughter who's driving a car, a truck, who at least could be considered, if this were true, an accomplice.
But her daughter was not accused of this crime. It was just
I'm telling you, if you are driving the car in which somebody is using as a vehicle to get away from performing a crime, they call that in movie land the getaway car. Then you pick up the phone and you say, The girls couldn't have been involved with that because they were with me. Right? Of course.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I tell you one of the things that I found most interesting, Miss Reno. There is a witness. There is an eyewitness. And the eyewitness is somebody who, according to you, was a friend of yours. Because I'm going to read from your answer. Holly is a girl who I've been friends with for years. Holly said hi and gave me a hug. This was at Coach's that night. So you have to say to yourself, why in the world would somebody make up a story about having seen a friend commit a crime unless it were true? When somebody is a crime victim, they don't want just somebody to be punished. They want the right person to be punished. They don't want the wrong person to be punished. That doesn't make them feel good. So I can understand it. If you two girls had had a falling out and you accused her, anyway, say maybe you were making it up, maybe it wasn't her, maybe you thought it might be her. But when Holly says she saw you, and then your mother doesn't give me a very maternal answer as to what she did after she found out that the police were looking for the girls by going to sleep, I find that I am convinced by the required quantum of proof in this civil proceeding, which is proof by clear and convincing evidence, that you, in fact, are responsible. And the damage is $1,648.22. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a...
Now, this is case number 233 on the calendar in the matter of Vos versus Ray, Whitfield, McCormack, and Powell. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Who's Powell? Me. Stand over there. Who's McCormack?
I'm right here.
Ray. You may stay. Whitfield.
Me.
It was your truck.
Yeah. Yes.
You didn't see what happened to it. You just saw the aftermath.
Yes.
And you didn't witness what happened to it, Mrs. Voss. Is that correct?
That's correct. I only heard it.
It is your claim, however, that these 4 young people, while in a state of drunken intoxication, decided to use your son's truck for baseball practice, whatever, totally destroying it. There was one other person allegedly involved who, according to your complaint, has in fact made some restitution to you for the damage.
That's
Is that right?
correct.
How much did you receive from this Russell person?
$240.
And what was the full extent of the damage to the truck?
$1,199.45.
Okay, so let's start out. You are in your home, it's the 24th of April, it's in the evening?
Correct.
And what did you hear?
I was sleeping and I was awakened to a bunch of just noise. At the time, I thought it was garbage cans or street signs, people banging on it. Got up, went into the kitchen, and kind of went outside on the front porch. At that time, I saw some children. It was dark. I couldn't identify them. Further down the street at what I thought was knocking over a garbage can. I saw 3 children at that time pass by, 2 on one bicycle and 1 running behind.
When you say children, you mean little children?
No, I'm sorry. Teenage children.
Male or female?
I could not identify them.
Go ahead.
I went out to retrieve the garbage can. When I got to the bottom of the steps, that's when I heard somebody yell to kick the truck. So knowing my son's truck was parked down the street, I went into the street. And it's that time I saw my son's truck out of the assigned parking spot, actually pushed out and turned in the street so that I can see it at the end of the road. And there was just banging on it. I couldn't tell how many were around it because it was sideways in front of me. I don't know who was behind it, but I could hear that same noise that woke me up. So I yelled at them to get away from the truck, and they fled.
How many people did you see fleeing?
The light, it was dark. I really, honestly could not tell you.
Was it more than 1?
Yes, and probably more than 2. I can honestly say more than 2.
Did you go down to inspect the truck?
At that point, I yelled for them to get away as I was running towards the truck, and then I went back to call the sheriff.
So you didn't go to the truck, you didn't go anywhere near there?
No, it was dark.
That's smart. And you waited for the sheriff in your home?
At that point, I woke my husband up. He went down to the truck, and we waited for the sheriff at the time.
And you went with him?
Yes.
What did you see when you got down there?
Just the truck in the middle of the road with the window broken. At that point, it was dark. It was hard to see how much body damage was done.
What time of the evening was this?
It was after midnight. I believe it was approximately midnight when I called the sheriff.
My son came home. He was not home at the time. He arrived when the sheriff arrived. And then he called some of his friends to let them know what happened to the truck, and they all kind of slowly came over in groups. And they also started walking around the complex to see if they can find any types of signs of who possibly could have done the damage.
What makes you believe it was any of these 4 people involved?
My son came across 2 of the defendants.
Which 2?
It was Russell and Tacey and Ed.
So you came across Russell, Miss Ray, and Mr. Powell.
Yes.
No,
And what?
right here.
You're McCormick?
Yes.
Change places with him. Stop confusing me. And what happened when you came across these 2 and Russell?
I told my mom that they're here, that they're around my truck, they're around our house, so my mom called the cops.
What do you mean they were around your truck?
They were, no, not around the truck, but with us. They hung out with us for a while, and we kept them there until the cops came.
What made you think that they had anything to do with your truck?
Because they were telling us that they bashed in some truck.
They were telling who?
Me and my friends that they were drunk and there were cops were out looking for them.
Who said that they had bashed in a truck?
Tacey.
Miss Ray. You heard Miss Ray say they were drunk and they had bashed in a truck?
Not me, my friends told me.
You can't tell me what your friends told you.
No.
So you waited until the police arrived? You called the police?
Mm-hmm.
Were you there when the police came?
Yeah, but then
What happened when the police came?
they told me to go inside, and then they handled it.
Did you speak to the police, Miss Ray?
Yes, I did.
What did you tell them?
I said that we were all drunk, me, Russell, and Edward, and I said that Russell had messed up the truck.
So you put it all on Russell?
Yeah.
Was Russell there?
Yes, he was, but he did not harm the truck.
Did you just tell me you told the police that Russell messed up the truck?
Yes.
So you lied to the police?
Yes, I did.
Why did you lie to the police?
Because I was drunk and they were hammering me with all these questions and they wouldn't let me say I don't know. They had to give names or else they wouldn't have let me go on. And so that was the first name that came to mind because I looked over at him and I said Russell. Because it was the easiest way to get me out of the situation.
What were you all doing out there drunk?
It was just a Friday night. And
Friday night drunk. I never put that down on my calendar. Now, Miss Ray, we do know about this truck, however.
Yeah.
Right. You were there when this truck was pushed out into the street, correct?
No, that's not correct.
Are you telling me that you did not see this truck pushed out into the street and damage caused to the truck?
We were not there at that time.
You were not there. So you just told the police a big fat lie.
Yes, I did.
Now, when you told the police a big lie, did you tell them just the way you're telling me now?
Yes, I did.
In the same directness?
Yes.
Were you still intoxicated at that time?
Yes, I was.
What had you had to drink that night?
I had a beer and some shots of 50-50, I think.
And when did you stop drinking?
I couldn't tell you. I don't really remember.
Where did you have shots of 50-50?
At this old abandoned house down the road.
How old are you?
14.
How many people were at this old abandoned house?
It was all of us and Russell.
Is that the first Friday night that you had gone to that house?
Yes, it has.
When you say yes, it was, are you saying that with the same conviction and with the same straight face as you told the police that it was Russell that had caused the damage?
Yeah.
No, that was
Shh, I'm not... Do I look at you? Are you saying it with the same conviction?
Conviction.
With the same honesty?
Oh, no.
So when you told the police you had a dishonest look on your face?
Yes.
As if you were telling them a lie?
Yes. As if
All
I
right,
were
just a second. I'm not finished with you yet.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Who brought the booze?
I don't know.
Don't really remember. It was just chill.
Nobody remembers. Don't ever think you can get over on me. Ever. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Chris Walsh and his mother, Michelle Vose, say teenagers Tacey Ray, Dan Whitfield, Zach McCormick, and Edward Powell vandalized his truck. The teens say they didn't do it.
So based upon your lie to the police that you indicate to me, Miss Ray, you were drunk and you had the look on your face of someone who was making up a story, right?
Yes.
The police took Russell into custody.
Yes.
Now, when you saw that they were taking Russell into custody, did you see them put Russell in handcuffs?
Ew. Yes, ma'am, I think so.
Did you see him being placed in a patrol car?
Yes, I did.
Was he placed in the front seat or the rear seat?
The rear.
Was there another police officer with him in the rear seat?
No, there wasn't.
How many police officers were in the front seat?
There was none. They were still out questioning us.
When they concluded questioning, how many police officers got into the police car?
I'm pretty sure one of them did.
And the other one stayed out, still
yes,
talking to you?
They were bringing me and Ed. They were taking care of us.
What do you mean they were taking care of you?
Because they caught us being drunk in public.
Oh. Now, I must tell you, Miss Ray, you tell a very cogent story. Your memory seems to be very, very precise with every detail about something that happened 6 months ago for somebody who was really terribly intoxicated that night. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, I do.
Good. Now, Russell was in fact arrested on this charge. Is that correct?
I couldn't tell you if he was arrested.
Well, let's try, because Russell must have contacted you at some time after Russell sobered up and said to you, why did you put the blame on me for something that I had nothing to do with?
Yes, he did. He called me.
Of course he did, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be a genius to figure that out. Did you say to him, what happened, Russell?
Yeah.
Did he tell you he was arrested?
Yes.
Did he tell you he was charged with vandalism?
Well, a month ago, when they first gave us the charges, we all knew.
Did Russell plead guilty to vandalism?
Yes, he did.
Interesting. Now, I assume Russell was sober at the time that he pled guilty to vandalism. Judges usually do not accept guilty pleas from intoxicated defendants. So you mean you made up this story about Russell?
And
since
everyone
you were,
else.
Just a second. I'm not finished with you yet, Miss Ray. So you made up the story out of whole cloth about Russell, that he was the one who damaged the truck. And Russell decided to plead guilty to damaging the truck, even though it wasn't him. That's what you said. Russell didn't do anything, but I just looked over to him, and he was there. I saw him, and I decided to say it was Russell. That's what you told me a minute ago. So now Russell decides to go along with your fictitious story, plead guilty to vandalism, and pay restitution. Is that where we're at? You understand what I'm saying to you? Good! Don't ever think you can get over on me, ever. Now we're going to start all over again. Now we're going to start with Mr. Powell. What grade are you in school?
I graduated last year.
Mr. McCormick.
Yes.
How old are you?
18.
Who bought the 50-50 junk? I need an answer. There were only the four of you and old Russell. Who brought the booze?
Tell you the truth, Honor.
Don't listen to me. Don't start out by saying to me, I'll tell you the truth. Give me an answer. Who brought the booze?
I don't know.
Let's go back to Miss Ray. Was Mr. Powell with you that evening?
Yes, he was.
Was Mr. McCormick with you that evening?
Yes, he was.
Was Mr. Whitfield with you that evening?
Yes, he was.
Was Russell with you that evening?
Yes, he was.
You were all together?
Yes.
What time did you arrive at the old abandoned house?
About 4 p.m.
I didn't ask you a thing. What time did you arrive at the old abandoned house?
4:30.
In the afternoon?
Yes.
From 4:30 in the afternoon until 11:30 that evening, did you remain in the house?
Yes.
And while you were there, did you consume anything other than the alcohol?
We had some marijuana.
So the five of you were together in the house for approximately 6 hours consuming alcohol and marijuana. Is that correct?
Yes.
And there came a time when you left?
Yes.
Who left first?
Zach McCormick, Ed Powell, and Dan Whitfield.
Where did they go?
They went to a friend's house.
What time did they return?
I couldn't tell you, somewhere around dark.
It was dark then. It was midnight.
Well, then I guess at midnight, after the truck had already been pulling out and everything.
After the truck? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So that left you, Miss Ray, and old Mr. Russell at the house, right? Now, did you stay at the house?
No, we did not.
Where did you go?
We went back to my house.
But there did come a point where at some period of time around midnight that you all hooked up again.
Yes.
And you all hooked up again somewhere around where this truck was.
Yes.
And that's when you told the police that it was old Russell who did damage to the truck.
Yes.
Because you just wanted to get him off your back. Is that right?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You having a good time?
I am.
Okay.
Aren't you?
I'm having a good time.
Edward Powell denied the charge of vandalizing Chris Walsh's truck. Chris has brought a surprise witness who says they did it.
Now, Mr. Powell.
Yes.
If I were to ask you the same questions that I asked Miss Ray, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Mr. McCormick, if I were to ask you same questions, would your answers be the same as Miss Ray's?
Similar.
In what respect dissimilar, sir?
Everything's the same except the part where she says that, actually, it's been quite a while. It's almost been 7 months, Your Honor.
So just say, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's
Good.
the same.
Then just say nothing else. Now, Mr. Whitfield, if I were to ask you the same questions as I posed to Miss Ray, would your answers be similar or dissimilar?
Similar, except the weed part.
Except the what?
Except the marijuana.
You denied that there was any marijuana smoked in the old house.
I don't deny that. I'm just saying that that wasn't a part of my routine.
Your routine was only drinking.
I was just there drinking, having fun.
So you did not partake in the marijuana.
No.
But there was marijuana there.
Yeah.
Who brought it?
Don't really remember. It was just chill.
Nobody remembers. Nobody remembers how the marijuana got there, and nobody remembers how the booze got there. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, you are telling me the truth, are you not, Mr. Whitfield, that you do not remember who brought the marijuana?
Yes.
Is that as truthful, sir, as all the other statements that you made today?
Yes.
Now, Miss Ray, do you recall who brought the marijuana?
Yes, I did.
Honest. Now, Mr. McCormick, do you recall who brought the alcohol?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
Is that answer as honest as all the other answers you've given me today?
Yes, it is.
This was so easy.
You having a good time?
I am.
Okay.
Aren't you?
I'm having a good time.
You should have read the answers that they wrote. Mr. Powell, yes. Do you recall who brought the alcohol?
No, I don't.
Is that answer as honest as all the other answers you gave me today?
Yes.
Your Honor, I also have another witness that actually spoke. That was one of my son's friends that was there when they confessed that they did
Oh,
that.
I would love to hear that witness. It would make me feel only slightly better. Would you bring in a witness? Name? Would you give them the name?
I'm Christy Gashel.
Christy Gashel.
I understand that you have information regarding an incident that occurred on the 24th of April of this year involving damage to the Voss truck.
Yes.
What information do you have?
I was at my friend David's house when he got a call from Chris, and Chris told David that someone just beat in his truck. So me, David, and my friend Jennifer went over to Chris's house, and we walked around and we were looking for the people that did it. And Tacey Ray came over. She jumped out of the bushes and told me that she and her friends just beat in a truck. And my friend Jennifer went and told Michelle that we have some people. So.
Did you have any other conversation with Miss Ray other than the fact that she says that she and some of her friends beat in the truck?
No, and she told me that if the cops asked, she was with me the whole night.
So she asked you to be her alibi?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Listen, you four people made my job so easy. I haven't had that good a time cross-examination in about 4 years. I read your answers. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. I was someplace else. I was in Canada. I was on the Mir space station. I don't know. I didn't have anything to do with it. Nothing, 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 nothing. The damage to your truck, the difference is $959. Maybe the four of you have parents who you think are stupid. And maybe some of you have been before the criminal justice system previously and have found other members of the criminal justice system stupid. I eat morons like you up for breakfast. Judgment is entered for the plaintiff to be divided by 4. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Now, this is case number 189 on the calendar in the matter of Mayfield versus Dudley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Why don't the
Young
mothers
men
have a seat
seats.
for a moment, and let's have the two boys up here, please.
Sean, right here.
Right up here. Your name, young man, is Deshaun?
Yeah. Yes.
Much better. And you are Jason?
Yes.
And you boys had some problems, is that right? First you were friends for a while, but then you had some problems?
Yes.
Then there came a day in the schoolyard after school. Do you remember that day, Jason?
Yes.
A whole bunch of kids was standing around?
Yes.
And Deshaun, you were outside also.
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
I was teasing him.
How were you teasing him?
I was saying that he liked the girl.
What were you saying exactly?
I
Do you remember?
said you liked her, that's it.
Hmm?
I said you liked her, that's it.
And what did he say?
I don't know that.
Did you say anything to him when he started to tease you?
Yes.
What did you say?
I said no.
Did you like her?
No.
No. So you told him you didn't like her.
Yes.
And what did he say?
He said over and over again
What did he say over and over again?
that I liked her.
So you were really teasing him. Why were you teasing him, Deshaun?
I didn't say it over and over again.
Why were you teasing him at all?
I was just playing with him.
Is that the only reason you were teasing him?
Yeah.
No. What happened?
After I said it a couple times, then I turned my head, and he came and slapped me, and my head hit a steel pole.
How did he slap you?
He went like this, and my face just hit a steel pole, because I was right by the pole.
So he didn't punch you or anything. He slapped you with his open hand, right?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
And your head hit a pole, and what happened after your head hit the pole?
I had a slight concussion,
How do you know that?
because I felt dizzy after he slapped me.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember slapping him on the face?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
I don't know.
Because you were angry?
Yes. Yes.
You didn't punch him or anything.
Mm-mm.
You just
Yes.
slapped him on the face. Did you see his head hit the pole?
Yes.
Did you get frightened?
No.
Did you go and call for help for him?
No.
Did he walk away?
Yeah, he hit me.
Hmm?
He hit me, then he walked away.
Where did he hit you?
My shoulder.
So after you hit him, he hit you in your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Did it hurt?
No.
No. Now I'll see the mothers. So now we have a relatively honest account of what happened that day. Deshaun over here acknowledges that for really no good reason he was teasing Jason, and he teased him more than once. And Jason acknowledges that he slapped him, didn't punch him, didn't pummel him, he slapped him on the face. His head pretty much accidentally hit a pole. That wasn't the intention. And then Deshaun hit him in the shoulder. Miss Mayfield, you want Miss Dudley to pay your medical bills for your son, right?
Correct.
Now, when were you notified that your son was hurt?
Well, actually what happened around 2:15, I was approximately maybe 5 minutes late from getting him. I pulled up. I have a newborn baby that was in the car. And I sat there for about 20 minutes waiting for Deshaun to come out of school. School was over when this incident happened. And Deshaun didn't come, so I picked up my cell phone and I called into the school to find out where my son was. I was notified that he was in the nurse's office, that the nurse had come to get him and brought him into her office, and they would be coming out. Well, Deshaun and the nurse came out, and the nurse gave me a suggestion to take him to the doctor. He, had vomited, nausea, whatever. At that time, I went to take the baby back to my house, which is just around the corner, so my daughter could watch him, and I could take Deshaun to emergency to get him checked out. Well, I noticed her car on my way out, and she lives next door. So I went to talk to her. Basically, all I would have ever needed was an apology or I'm sorry. All I want is what the emergency visit was. She agreed for me to submit a bill to her. I did do that through certified mail. I got a couple of phone calls from Mrs. Dudley, and she was very rude, arrogant, no tap.
And your bill was $99. Can I see the bill?
It.
Can I see the bill, please?
Yes.
Okay.
She asked me about my insurance. I told her that I was going to get this done private pay.
Why?
Where they get the bill. Here's the bill, an actual bill.
Why didn't you submit the bill to your insurance company?
Well, I told her that I was going to submit the bill to her because she said that she would pay it.
Why didn't you submit the bill to your insurance company? That's what you pay insurance for, is my question.
I didn't do that. I just took him to emergency.
No, I'm asking you a question. I mean, but that seems to me if you have health insurance, that would have covered this $99 because it was an emergency visit. Why didn't you submit the bill to your insurance company?
I just took him. And I have a doctor statement here.
All right, take a look at it. Okay, the first thing here is a lie. It said this is a 7-year-old child who was hit by an older kid with a fist. You never hit him with a fist, right? And he never hit you with a fist, is that right, Deshaun?
No.
No, he slapped you.
Your Honor, could we possibly ask the kids how hard did he hit him? I'm not quite sure, but for his head to hit a steel pole, I'd just like to know how hard.
How do you gauge that? Hard, very hard, medium soft? How do you gauge that? He certainly didn't punch him.
No, I'm not saying that he did.
He didn't punch him. There is nothing in this report that indicates that anything's wrong with him.
No, thank
Nothing.
goodness, he's okay.
Nothing. And I have a couple of questions for you. I'm not excusing him putting his hands on your son. Okay. You can't do that. What kind of punishment did you give to your son?
For teasing?
Yes.
Oh, me and his dad set him down, and we told him that that is not a proper thing to do.
Absolutely right.
No, most definitely.
Absolutely
I don't
right.
condone it at all.
Absolutely right. Put your hand down. You paying attention?
Yeah.
This whole thing wouldn't have started if you hadn't started to tease Jason, right?
Yes.
Why were you teasing him?
I was just playing with him.
No, he wasn't happy about it. You knew he wasn't happy about it, right?
No.
This is not the first incident that has ever happened with Jason or Sean having problems, okay? I stopped him from coming to the house. My husband and I, we never discussed with Sean why he could not come into the house any longer by being disruptive and doing things. We just kind of just let the kids play outside whenever they met outside. He had no idea that Jason and him were no longer friends per se. He was still...
But he knew he couldn't come into the house.
Yes, he was aware that I did not want him to come into the house.
That he knew.
Yes.
Kids are smarter than you think. If you say that Jason can't come into the house, they know that there's a reason. You can play with him outside, but he can't come into the house. Put your hands down! What do you think, you're at the beach?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I sat in that emergency room while she fed her son Dorito potato chips on the same side of the mouth where she claims Jason had injured. So to me, it wasn't that severe.
And later today...
You mean to tell me that the other 40 people who showed up just showed up because they wanted to? Stop making a baby out of your daughter.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 8-year-old Deshaun Jenkins says 11-year-old Jason Dudley smacked him in the head, causing a concussion. Jason says Deshaun was teasing him about a girl.
Have you had any other difficulty with Jason in school?
No. Not. We've been neighbors for over 2.5 years, Your Honor. Okay, we never had any problems whatsoever. I didn't know that she had not allowed Jason to come over to the house because they were still playing. We live right across from the park, so they still play together out in the park. So I had no incidents or no knowledge whatsoever that she had forbidden. She never talked to me about it whatsoever. When she came to my house and asked me to pay for the emergency room bill, I told her no, I was not going to pay for it, okay? So what I did was I followed her to the emergency room to find out, make sure she got to the emergency room. I followed her there. I sat in that emergency room while she fed her son Dorito potato chips on the same side of the mouth where she claims Jason had injured. So to me, it wasn't that severe. If she felt that he had a concussion...
He didn't have a concussion.
Right. Okay.
He didn't have a concussion. He had nothing wrong. He hit his head. He hit his head, and this whole thing was blown way out of proportion. That's what I think. The whole thing was blown way out of proportion.
I totally agree.
What had to happen is that these two young boys... Now you can stand up next to your mother. These two young boys should be put together in one room with their parents in a coordinated effort, and in front of Jason. Sean has to be told, you don't tease other people, it's not nice.
True.
It makes them feel badly. And sometimes they don't react to it well. Sometimes they'll let it roll off their backs. You know what that means?
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll get very frustrated. And the only way that some people know how to react in a frustrated way is to use their hands, which you can't do. So that if he was teasing you, you have to turn around and say to him, that's a stupid thing to say, and walk away. But you don't use your hands, because using your hands, you look like a strong boy, so you can get in trouble. Right?
Right.
You had no out-of-pocket expenses, Miss Mayfield, because I find that you didn't do the right thing by not submitting this bill to your insurance company, which would have paid the entire bill. You wanted to prove a point.
It's just the principle.
It's not the principle of the thing. That, you know, this happens with children all the time.
It has happened before.
I don't know what's happened before. What I'm telling you is this incident is an incident that was precipitated by your son. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was just the principle for me, and I'm basically happy that the judge had to inform this child that it is not the right thing to do to put his hands on another no matter what.
Learn not to tease people.
Not to hit people in the jaw.
I think that kids will be kids, and I hope that they could play together eventually someday.
And now the next case.
All parties on Brunner versus Coley Jones. Step forward, please.
12-year-old Sherry Brunner and her mother, 48-year-old daycare provider Lori Brunner, says Sherry was discriminated against by Junior Football League commissioners Calvin Coley and John Jones.
Is your claim that your daughter, I assume this daughter, was the victim of gender discrimination by the defendants when she was cut from the football team?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what this is all about.
Yes.
Tell me your first name.
Sherry.
What happened to your leg?
I had surgery.
For what?
I had a birthmark that was supposed to be cancerous.
When did you have that surgery?
August 11th.
Okay. Sherry, when for the first time did you try out for the football team?
I think it was 98.
Is this a school football team?
No.
A league?
Yes.
And were the defendants the coaches at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, did you play at all the first year?
First year, yes.
How many other women were on the team?
No one. I was
Just
the only
you?
one.
Do you like football?
Yes, I do.
And you got to play?
Yes.
When were there supposed to be the tryouts for the second year?
I think August.
Now, according to what I've read, Sherry, they have something that the defendants call Hell Week.
Right.
You know what that is?
Yes, I do.
Tell me what it is.
For a whole week that you do drills, push-ups, running, all that kind of stuff. It's like what you really don't want to do.
And everybody does that?
Yes.
But you didn't?
The first week, because I was at...
First week?
Right.
Tell me why you didn't go.
Because I was at New York visiting my grandma.
Did you discuss that with your coaches?
I discussed that with JJ, and he
Who's
said...
JJ?
I'm JJ.
Okay, you told JJ that you were not going to be there for Hell Week?
Right. And he said that that would be no problem.
How long did you spend with your grandmother?
For about 2 months.
So you were in New York the entire summer vacation?
Yes.
And when did you have to be back in school?
September 1st.
When was Hell Week?
Latter part of July.
You didn't return until when?
August 1st, the second week of practice.
Why didn't you come back a week early for your practice?
Well, what happens is my grandma already scheduled it for like a long time. She has frequent flyer mileage, and she schedules it for a long time. She schedules it from a long time before, so I knew when I was going to be back and everything.
Yeah, but you can change a frequent flyer ticket. You pay a little bit of a penalty.
It's difficult to change it.
No, you can't. You pay a penalty, like $50, and they let you change the date a week later, a week earlier. It's not a problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Nobody who made the team missed the entire week of Hell Week.
Nobody.
Right?
Right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 12-year-old Sherry Brunner says Football League commissioners Calvin Coley and John Jones discriminated against her by cutting her from the team.
So you didn't go to Hell Week, a week that everybody doesn't like, and you came back the following week.
Right.
And when you came back the following week, what happened?
I was supposed to be conditioned.
And what does that mean?
I have to have
10 hours of conditioning before I can put pads on, helmet, get my full gear.
Okay, and what happened?
Sometimes I ran for the whole practice. I did everything they asked me to.
And how many cuts were there?
I don't know.
How many
There were
cuts were
5.
there? Sherry was one of them.
Yes.
And I assume that since she was the only girl, the other 4 were boys.
Yes.
Were any of the other 4 boys that were cut boys that had been in the first year?
Yes.
How many?
One other veteran.
Now, were you told by Sherry sometime in April that she wasn't going to be able to be there for Hell Week?
She mentioned that to us, and we told her at that time that the prior year that she played in '98, we didn't have cuts because we didn't have that many kids. Our max allowance for kids is 35, and we were going over. Every year we were going higher and higher. And we explained then that that was a crucial time and she needed to be there because we had to anticipate more than 35 during that coming season.
You have your records with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Take a look. Tell me if any of the other 40 people missed the entire week of Hell Week.
We might need to ask the coach himself.
Okay,
Need to be the
take a
most
look.
important.
Tell me your name.
I'm Shani Guzman.
Tell me what you do for the team.
I was the assistant coach for running backs and quarterbacks. There's one kid here that missed 1 day, and another child that missed the first 2 days, but they made the team.
So the answer is nobody else missed the entire week. One missed 1 day, one missed 2 days, but nobody who made the team missed the entire week of Hell Week.
Nobody.
So prove to me discrimination when your coach is a woman, when nobody else made the team who had missed the entire week. Convince me that you were discriminated against.
I ran for about the whole practice, doing nothing but running, the whole field.
Yes?
Everybody was watching me.
Yes?
And that's about all I did.
She didn't get to join in most of the exercises. She did some, but that didn't happen to anybody else.
Is that correct?
None of the boys did that.
Your Honor, she had the condition. That's why she ran on that second week. She was behind the other players that had started a week ahead of her.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Well, that's what Sherry said. Sherry said that before you get into the pads and everything
Right.
else, you have to do certain things, which she missed during the first week. Right?
Right.
What you want is special treatment for your daughter. Can't get that.
No.
They had every right in the world if she didn't show up, according, I
Doesn't
assume
say
to them.
that.
I'm speaking. They had every right in the world to say, you don't show up for Hell Week, you're not going to be even considered for the team.
There is no place in their rules that it says that. And it even
You knew
says,
about Hell Week, correct? Are you mean
Yes,
to
of
tell me
course.
that the other 40 people who showed up did not just showed up because they wanted to? Well, maybe
There
they
were a
had
lot of
more of
people
a
that didn't
desire.
show up.
Just a second. Maybe they had more of a desire to play. Your daughter had a desire to spend time in New York with her grandmother. Stop making a baby out of your daughter. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a...
Now, this is case number 222 on the calendar in the matter of McQueen versus McQueen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. McQueen, this is your son,
Yes, ma'am.
and this is your wife,
Yes, Your Honor.
but you are not his mother.
No, I'm not.
According to your complaint, you received a telephone call from the defendant, from jail.
Yes, ma'am.
And he told you that he was incarcerated and wanted to be bailed out.
Yes, ma'am.
You said, I have to wait till your father gets home.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do when you came home and your wife told you that your son was incarcerated?
We had several checks at the house that we'd received from. I had surgery in July, and they amounted to. There was money we were going to use for our house insurance, and his bail was $1,000. So we discussed it. He has quite a good job, so we weren't too worried about him paying us back. She had talked with him, and he told her where to go to bail him out, and we went to the bank and went down to the jail, and we paid it.
Mrs. McQueen, what did the defendant say to you and you say to him during the conversation?
He called and I answered and he said, is Dad there? I said, no, he hasn't come home from work. He says, I'm in trouble. I said, what's the matter? He says, I'm in jail. And I said, a DWI? He said, yes. And I said, how much? He said $1,000 to get me out.
When was the next time you saw your son?
Well, when I paid the $1,000, the first thing the officer informed me of, if I wanted to get my money back, I would have to initial off, but I would have to seek it through him. Then the officer brought him out, and he came outside to us through the locked doors. And when he got out, he didn't look in very good shape.
Have you bailed him out before?
No,
Has he been arrested before for DWI?
not for DWI, no. He was arrested when he was 7 years old.
No, I'm talking about for DWI. Your wife seemed to question him immediately and said to him, for DWI. What made you think it was a DWI?
Because we had talked maybe a couple of days ago before that, and said if you ever get a collect call from Jason, it's probably because he's in jail for drinking.
He's had a drinking problem?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
And when he got out, he wasn't in good shape, and I said, where's your car? And he said they impounded it. And I said, well, how much is it going to be to get out? And I forget the exact amount. It was over $70. I handed him 4 20s, and I asked him, what happened with you? And he said he was playing pool, and the officer had arrested him, and that he had taken the breathalyzer, and he'd blown a 223. When we got his car, he asked me to drive him home because his license was pulled. And so then his car was empty on gas, so I gave him another 20, and I told him that's $1,100 you owe me now.
And what did he say?
He didn't say anything, he just nodded his head. That Friday, he came and spent the night, and he talked with Linda that night and told her that he thought he wouldn't be able to pay it back or wouldn't pay it back. So she told me that the next morning, and I called him and talked to him, and he said, well, Dad, you know, it's your duty. He's 28.
Just a minute. Okay, Mr. McQueen, let's hear it, sir.
What do you want to know, Your Honor? I did get arrested, was in jail. I called my stepmother the previous night, and I told her I was in jail and stuff. I didn't know if she could do anything or whatnot. And
what did you call her to do for you?
I just called her to let her know where I was. She might expect me home or something, wonder where I was, Dad didn't want her wondering.
You didn't tell her how much it would cost to get you out of jail?
I said, yeah, I'm in jail. They got me for DWI last night, and they said it was going to be $1,000, and she said, well, your dad gets home in an hour, we'll be there. Yeah, I've never been in jail before, Your Honor. It wasn't a very interesting experience.
Well, a very unpleasant experience. You're 28 years old, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I fix computers for Sprint.
How long have you had that job?
About 5 years now.
What's your annual salary?
Believe it's currently at $44,000.
$44,000?
Yes, ma'am.
What other financial obligations do you have, Mr. McQueen?
Car.
What kind of car do you drive?
2000 Civic.
What other financial obligations do you have?
Insurance, phone, the usual things, Your Honor.
Right.
It's completely unrelated to this case, I guess, but I've recently just kind of lost my head. I mean, it's a lot of the reasons that I was in the situation I was when I got here with the police and the drinking and all that. And I recently started trying to pull myself back out. And I've worked it out, you know, with my car company, because I'm like 3 months behind on just about everything. And
Mr. McQueen, sounds to me
he knows
as if,
this.
Just a minute, but it sounds to me, sir, if you earn $44,000 a year and you're unmarried, and you were living at home?
I'm paying rent to my mother.
Paying a modest rent, and you don't have any children?
No, ma'am.
So that something else, in addition to alcohol, has been happening in your life recently?
Recently, I just broke up with my girlfriend and on the antidepressants, the whole kit and caboodle.
Okay. Did you stop drinking?
Since then?
Yeah.
I've stopped doing anything where I get in the car afterwards.
Have you stopped drinking?
No, ma'am.
It's probably a mistake.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My lawyer doesn't really seem to think I've got much hope.
Clearly, your son is having a difficult time.
He copped an attitude.
You can't cop an attitude. You're supposed to say thank you.
And later today,
Nowhere did you write gift here.
Well, he said, don't worry about the $800. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then I said, so you're saying that's a gift? And he said, yes.
Are you kidding me or what?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Patrick McQueen says his son Jason McQueen owes him for bailing him out of jail and car impound fees.
You sound like a nice young man who's having a bad time. This was your first arrest, sir, since you were 7?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've held the same job for 5 years, which means that he's really not a bum.
No.
Right?
No.
Can you not believe you're standing here?
It was a month ago, Your Honor. It was the 6th. That was the day I got arrested.
Well, what happens, Mr. McQueen, is when you say, there's no way I can pay you back, that makes them angry. Do you understand? I don't know whether I would have, as a parent, Mr. McQueen, pursued this matter as expeditiously as you did, because clearly your son is having a difficult time.
No offense, Your Honor, I've had quite enough police around me. Didn't need any more.
Okay. All right.
You copped an attitude.
You can't cop an attitude. You're supposed to say thank you. You know, thank you, and I can't pay you back right now, but I'll pay you back in increments. You know, I don't want you to be out $1,000 for my stupidity.
My lawyers even got me paying him back like every paycheck.
Well, yeah, there's nothing much you can do, sir, on a 2 reading. Has that case come to court yet?
No, ma'am. It's a 2-3.
Shh. Did you tell your attorney in the criminal matter that you planned on appearing in civil court today?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your attorney suggest to you that that was not a good idea?
No, ma'am.
Get another attorney.
Can I inquire as to why?
Because had I known that there was a criminal action still pending for driving while intoxicated against you, I would not have asked you questions surrounding that incident, including the fact that you do in fact have an alcohol problem. That does not enhance your position in the criminal case, sir.
No offense, Your Honor, but my lawyer doesn't really seem to think I've got much hope other than throwing myself on
the court's mercy.
The court's mercy.
Well, that's fine. Then I don't know what you need a lawyer for, sir. If you're going to plead guilty, what are you paying the lawyer for? Then the lawyer's doing nothing for you. Your father at least bailed you out of jail, right?
I guess you're right.
You could have stayed in jail.
The cost of a 5-year job, Your Honor.
Absolutely. So it was a good thing that your dad helped you out. And the fact that you're having financial trouble on $44,000 a year income and not any major responsibilities suggests to me that you either have a gambling problem, or you have a gambling and a drug problem, or you have some other place where that money is going, because it sure is not going to pay your car, which you say you're behind 3 months on, or your insurance. So there's something else going on with your life. He wants his money back. You think it's right that he gets it back?
I think if it was my kid, I'd like to do everything I could. And if he wasn't, like, able to pay me back, then he wasn't able to pay me back.
But you are able, sir. You're just prioritizing. You're just prioritizing.
He's heard my accounts. He knows they're like toast.
That's because your money is going someplace else.
Back and forth to work, paying a car payment every paycheck. I'm, like, really behind, Your Honor.
You may be really behind, sir, but there are families of 4 and 5 that live on $44,000 a year and are not paying a couple of bucks rent to their mama. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000, that's all.
Oh, ma'am, there was the...
I understand, sir. You want the impound fee and the $20 for gas. You're very lucky you're getting the $1,000. I'm going to tell you why you're getting this judgment, because I'm going to find that by nodding to you in acceptance when you gave him the money, there was a tacit agreement that he would pay you back. But at the time you paid this money, Mr. McQueen, you did not have an agreement with him that this was a loan. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm finding that based upon his acquiescence to the loan subsequently, even though he wasn't in such good shape, that you are entitled to your money back.
Thank you.
Don't push me. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Time he got some responsibility and has got a handle on his life.
I'm working on it. I have been working on it. He knows I've been working on it. It's just, it doesn't come instantly. There you go. You're going to get a kiss on each cheek, too.
And now the next case.
All parties on Martinez versus Ortiz. Step forward.
32-year-old store manager Jimmy Martinez is suing his ex-fiancée, 25-year-old hotel assistant GM Veronica Ortiz, for a deposit on a car. Veronica is countersuing for furniture and an apartment deposit.
All right, in this case, the chronology is very important. Mr. Martinez, according to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together for about 3 years?
4 years, ma'am.
And that living together arrangement ended when, sir?
Approximately mid-November, last year, 99.
And according to your complaint, that was a rather amicable split. You remained friends.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Sometime the following month, the defendant contacted you because she wanted to purchase a car, and you agreed to go with her to the dealership. And you went to the dealership, and she didn't have enough money for the down payment. What I can piece together is the car salesman said to you, well, give me a check to hold the car.
Yes, ma'am.
A check for $800.
Yes.
And the agreement was that the salesman would not cash this check, but would wait for you to come up with the remainder of the balance. Now, according to you, Mr. Martinez, what happened was you started getting your bank statements months later, and you had checks bouncing all over the place because this check got cashed.
Yes, ma'am.
So you want your $800.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have an interesting defense and counterclaim.
Correct.
Now I'll hear you.
Well, the $800 was initially not supposed to be cashed, and I understand that. But for some reason it did, and I agreed to him that I'm sorry that that happened. Then at that time, he decided that he said, don't worry about the $800 due to the fact that just don't worry about it, don't worry about it. And then I said, so you're saying that's a gift? And he said, yes.
Are you kidding me or what?
No, no, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
His intention, Your Honor, was to get me to move back with him. That's the truth, Your Honor.
Madam, I don't think you'd know the truth if it came up and bit you in the nose.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jimmy Martinez says ex-fiancée Veronica Ortiz owes him for a deposit on a car. Veronica says Jimmy is the one who owes.
So now you're telling me under oath that he told you forget about the $800. It was a gift.
Correct.
So let me read to you what you wrote in your answer. He has a lot of nerve taking me to court. You say we were engaged, making wedding plans. Who cares about that? Finally, in September of 1999, I had enough of his mental and physical abuse. He kicked me out, but wouldn't let me move all of my stuff out. So first today, you tell me that this was an amicable break, right? And that everything was nice. And a month afterwards, after you broke up, you asked him to go with you. He put down a check for $800. Now you say, at least in here, that he kicked you out of the house and he still had my furniture and a refrigerator that he wouldn't return.
Correct.
Our lease was up in February and he was supposed to give me back my share of the deposit. He didn't do it. Since he refused to return my furniture and security deposit from an apartment that he kicked me out of, I let the dealership cash his check. Nowhere in here do you say anything about gift. He told you to forget about it. I mean, I know you're smiling at me.
Judge.
And you have a counterclaim. I am counterclaiming. After kicking me out of the apartment, he never returned my furniture and refrigerator, which were worth $1,600, that he refuses to give me.
He has all my furniture, Your Honor, and unfortunately, this $800 was a gift. When I did that, I didn't remember what happened. And then when I went through all my paperwork, I realized what had happened. And I saw that it was a gift. And all the items that he still owes me as well, I have receipts for. I have several pieces of furniture and also...
I don't care about your furniture, madam. You told me this was a gift.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Nowhere did you write gift here.
It's because I didn't go through my paperwork, Your
What do you
Honor.
have to go through your paperwork for?
Because I didn't realize...
Where in your paperwork does it show you gift? Show me where in the paperwork it says gift. That your recollection was refreshed after you went through your paperwork. Show me where it says
No,
gift.
Your Honor, I don't have anything that states that it was a gift.
Well, just a second. So that when you went through your paperwork, what refreshed your recollection that led you to believe that now it was a gift?
Because the conversation that we had, he sent me a letter in regards to the $800.
Well, then let me see it.
Okay. Judge, I highlighted the pieces that I remember.
Shh. All right, let me read this. What refreshed her recollection that this was a gift. This is a letter written by you, sir, to her on the 31st of July of this year.
Yes, ma'am.
You write to her, I immediately called you to make arrangements for repayment when you found out that they had cashed the check. You said you couldn't pay me at that time and asked me if I would take several pieces of furniture in lieu of the money. I declined that offer because what I had loaned you was $800 in cash, and that's what I expected back in return. That's what you underlined, by the way.
Correct.
That's what you highlighted. Then in this letter you write to her, upon returning home from your job, you called me back. That means she called you back and said that you had discussed the matter with your sister.
But that didn't happen,
And she had advised you against repaying me because all we had was a verbal agreement and the $800 could be construed as a gift.
That never happened, Your Honor. That never happened, Your Honor. Unfortunately, the $800 was a gift.
No, baloney. $800 you owe him. There's no gift. He has no reason to make you a gift after he breaks up with you or you break up with him.
Well, his intention, Your Honor, was to get me to move back with him. And after he found out that I wasn't willing to move back with him, then that's when he said it was a loan. That's the truth, Your Honor.
Madam, I don't think you know the truth. They came up and bit you in the nose.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Now let's get to your counterclaim. You broke up with him a year ago. And you say you left furniture in the apartment after you broke up. And you could have taken all your stuff with you when you left, because you just told me, despite the fact what you wrote here, that it was an amicable breakup.
But I still had furniture there, Your
Just
Honor.
You should have taken it with you if you felt as if it was your furniture.
Your Honor, he wouldn't let me take my furniture.
Oh, no, 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 no.
No, if we were friends,
no,
but
just
he
a
still
second.
didn't let me take my furniture.
Just a second. If somebody doesn't let you take your stuff, it's not an amicable breakup. And you don't call them and ask them to go with you for a car and ask them to put out a check for you if he kicked you out of your house and wouldn't let you take your property. And then he doesn't find out that they cashed his check for months. Now you've had November, December, January, February, March, April, May. You've had 7 months to file a lawsuit against him for your furniture.
Your Honor, I don't want to have anything to do with this gentleman. He is very abusive and he is a total jerk. And
Then why did you, just a second.
Because
then if you wanted nothing to do with him, why did you call him to go to the car dealership with you?
Because I was in denial and I didn't realize that.
Oh, well, get real.
Your
Just for
Honor,
the plaintiff and the amount of $800. Your counterclaim's dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Who's bothering you?
Nobody.
Good.
Your Honor, this is case number 157 on the calendar, the matter of Jones versus Thomas. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Jones, you and the defendant were going to a party together. And you were driving a car. Whose car were you driving?
Mine.
And according to you, you got blotto drunk at the party.
Yes.
First dumb thing. And you went out to your car and passed out. And at some point, Miss Thomas came out of the party and she drove the car home.
Yes.
That was her intention.
Yes.
And she got into the driver's seat, started the car, proceeded on her way, got into a car accident, and you want her to pay for the damage to the car.
Yes.
Okay. How long have you known Miss Thomas?
She's a mutual friend of a friend that we both know.
Did you make arrangements with her before you got to the party about what was going to happen if somebody drank too much?
That was already organized. My witness.
No, you organized it. You were driving your car.
Yeah, there were designated drivers there at the party because she had planned for them to be there.
Okay. Now, when Miss Thomas came out, she got into the driver's seat. Were you aware that she was there?
I was asleep.
And what was the next thing that happened?
I woke up in an accident. I don't know what happened.
You don't know what happened?
I know we woke up in an accident. I knew that she shouldn't have ran the stop sign.
Well, you don't know anything because you were, according to you, dead drunk, right?
Yeah, I was asleep.
Drunk? All right, so you don't really know what happened. Is that right?
No, I don't know how she got into an accident.
You don't know what happened. You don't remember anything from the time you made your way out of the party and collapsed in the car, according to you, until the time you were in the accident and jolted from the accident.
Yes.
So, Miss Thomas, I'm going to turn to you. According to you, you came out of the party. Had you been drinking?
No. I had a drink. Let me correct myself. I had drunk prior to the party because they had a gathering before we went to the party.
What did you have to drink before you went to the party?
I had a cup of Hennessy, 1 cup of cognac Hennessy.
And you had nothing to drink at the party?
At the party, no, I didn't drink at all.
Why?
Because in the party, I didn't have really that much money on me. And she had a big jar of some kind of drink with blue juice or so forth. I don't know what it was.
That she had
I tasted, but I didn't actually, have a drink on my own.
I don't care whose drink it was. You did have something to drink at the party.
Yeah.
You didn't have your drink, you had her drink.
Right.
Her blue juice.
Yeah, whatever.
What happened when you got to the car, Miss Thomas?
When we got to the car, we sat in the car for a little while.
Who's we?
Me, her, and 2 of her cousins. We was talking. We had a smoke break. We went to the car. We smoked. They smoked or whatever. We
smoked what?
We smoked. Cigarette smoke. Cigarette.
Anything other than cigarettes?
No, ma'am.
Oh.
No. Okay. And we all talked. We all talked in the car, so forth. And then after that, she was sleeping in the passenger seat. In the club several times, she told me at the table.
Who told you?
Keisha. She told me, "Can you drive?" She kept on making. She kept on making suggestions and asking me questions. Could I drive? On our way going there, she said that she was really feeling the liquor or so forth. She was like, "You might have to drive home." So I kind of set in my mind that I'm not going to drink too much, even though she did ask me did I have license. I told her I did not have license.
Okay.
I said, "Do you have license?" She said, "No, she don't have license neither."
Judge, I had a license since I was 16 years old, and I was always told, do not let anyone drive your car without a license.
But you did not have a license.
She did not.
I didn't have a license, and I made this aware to her that I didn't have a license.
So if you did not have a license, Miss Thomas, there came a point when you got into the car and started to drive the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Want to explain to me why?
I drove home because I didn't have a way home, and we were the only ones left at the party at the time. Prior to me driving home, she kept making it secure for me to drive home.
Just a minute. You get into the car.
She wasn't asleep at that time.
Listen, pay attention to me, Miss Thomas. You get into the car. Is she asleep in the car?
Okay, she was asleep in the car, but when it was time for us to get ready to go, that I had her keys. Ma'am, my thing is, if I didn't have permission to drive your car, how did I get your keys?
No, just a minute. Don't ask me any questions.
That's what I'm saying. How did I get your keys?
Just listen to me.
They were in valet
listen
parking.
To me. You got into the car, into the driver's seat of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, when you got into the car, before you started the car, have any conversation with her at all?
Yes, I had a conversation with her. She started throwing up. I had turned to her, and I opened the passenger door. I leaned and pushed her head out the door so she could throw up out the door and not into her car. I was trying to help her out. I wiped her with one of her children's diaper towel. I helped her put her seatbelt on, and I asked her, "Was you ready?" She said, "Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go." Them was her words.
Okay. Tell me about the accident.
Okay, the accident prior to us on our way home, I had asked her, could I make a stop? She was intoxicated. I don't know if she remembers, so forth. However, I'm coming up 55th. I stopped at the stop sign. I looked both ways. I didn't see no car. As I hit, going on over to the intersection, bam, a car out of where it came from, I don't know. I didn't see no lights. I didn't see anything. It just hit us. Bam. I shook her, and I just told her that these gentlemen has just ran into us, that we had a car accident. What? Or whatever, she pops up out of her, she's like, we have a car, whatever. So by us being in the middle of the street, I backed the car up, and I parked it where we would be out the middle of the street. So here come these 2 gentlemen. They all ranting and raving. She's mad that we's in the accident. These gentlemen, we 2 women out here, it's 2, 3 in the morning. We're by ourselves, and it's 2 men, and then they ranting and raving. I don't know what they're gonna try to do to us. I don't know if they're gonna bring any harm to us. So me, with my mouth, I'm not gonna let nobody, do nothing, no harm to me. I said to them, no, it's not my fault. That says, how everyone, you get in an accident, they want to blame you. I'm trying to calm her down to explain to her what went on. I'm trying to explain to these gentlemen what went on. Thank God that we was over somewhere where I have family. So I asked her, I said, Keisha, come on with me and get out the car for the police or anybody. We involve the police or however. You're drunk, and they smell of liquor. She refused to leave. She refused anything. She would not agree with me at all.
Fine. So the police arrived at the scene?
No, I had left the scene.
Yeah, she left when the police came.
Left because she refused to help.
You left the scene?
Yes, I left the scene and went to my cousin's house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They gave you a ticket for running a stop sign?
No, they gave me a ticket for no license.
She didn't even give the police her real name.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kaikisha Jones says her former friend, Tanya Thomas, owes her for wrecking her car. Tanya says it was the other driver's fault.
So you left your friend alone at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
In the car with two men.
Two men that she was talking to. That she was made herself accountable to.
You left. And you didn't leave and go and call the police because you said you didn't know what these two men were going to do to you. You said that to me a moment ago. You didn't know whether they were going to cause any harm to you. So you leave your friend who's drunk with these two strangers, even though you were in fear, and you didn't go immediately to call the police?
No, ma'am.
Well, that was a big mistake. I mean, there were a lot of mistakes here, but that was a mistake. Don't you see that?
Okay, reason why I didn't call the police because the gentleman had already called the police prior to me calling, before I could call.
I'm not ready for you yet.
Okay.
So you heard the two gentlemen calling the police?
I heard, yes, ma'am.
And you took off?
No.
Yes, you did. You left.
No.
Hey, you left. You didn't wait for the police. Miss Thomas, you didn't wait for the police.
Yes, all right, yes.
Did you come back to the car?
Yes, ma'am.
How much later?
Right afterwards.
Were the police there when you arrived?
Yes.
Oh.
They arrived at the same time I arrived.
Okay. Did they give you a breathalyzer test?
No, ma'am.
But they gave you a ticket for running a stop sign?
No, they gave me a ticket for no license.
But not for running the stop sign?
No, ma'am.
She didn't even give the police her real name because she don't have a license.
Well, they must have asked for her license.
She don't have a, that's what they wrote her a ticket for, not having a license.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you.
Okay.
Okay, Miss Jones, let me see a picture of the car, please. Now you can step up. Now I'll hear you. Tell me your name.
I'm Loretta Smith.
Miss Smith, how are you related to, or how do you know these two young women?
This is my cousin, and it was my son's birthday party. And I had already had designated drivers, and Miss Thomas was not one of my designated drivers. By me being a mother, there was no way I would let Miss Thomas get behind the car without no driver's license and and she was drinking.
How many children do you have?
Have one.
How old is your child?
She'll be one on the 28th.
Where was she that night?
She was at my auntie's house.
At your aunt's house?
Yeah, overnight.
How come you drank so much? Make you
You
sick?
know, it was a surprise party, and we were just having a good time. I had 2 drinks. I'm not a drinker, so I had 2 drinks, and it was way past my limit. Way past.
You feel as if you owe any responsibility for this accident at all?
No. There were designated drivers there. Her services were not
And I
needed.
had designated drivers
Now,
there.
did you have, what's your last name?
I'm Smith.
Miss Smith, did you have a conversation personally with Miss Thomas about providing a driver to drive the car home?
No, ma'am.
So you did not?
No, I did not know Miss Thomas. What I knew is I had a designated driver.
That's not my question. My question was, you did not have any discussion with Miss Thomas?
No, ma'am.
About
No, ma'am.
providing a driver to go home?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And according to Miss Jones, she was dead drunk in the front seat of the car.
Yes.
So you have Miss Jones, who may know that you had a designated driver.
Right.
But she's totally incoherent.
Right.
And Miss Thomas doesn't know, according to you, about designated drivers because you never had a conversation with her.
Right.
Thank you. Sit down. You were wrong to drive a car without a license, whether she gave you permission to or not. You were wrong. You don't know whether you gave her permission to drive the car because you were drunk. And it is very possible that she got into the car and she said, "You ready to go? Let's go." And you said, "Yeah, let's go." That's possible. You can't tell me it's not possible because you don't remember because you were drunk.
Okay, can I just say one thing? She claims that she was waking me up all this time. I should have been woke.
Waking you up?
Me up.
I never
can
said
I
I
drive
woke
your
you
car?
up. Just a minute.
Can I go and make another stop on 55th San Pedro, which is 2 miles away from my house?
People who want to act responsibly are not supposed to put themselves in a position where they're so inebriated that they don't remember what happened.
Okay.
That's what you did.
All right.
Now, Miss Thomas didn't know that there was a designated driver,
Okay.
according to your witness. She is partially responsible for what happened to this car. Absolutely. You are, and if you think you're not, you're nuts. Because you were driving without a license, you had something to drink that night, and in addition to that, whether you say this car came out of nowhere, you had a stop sign. So you're wrong. When you have a stop sign and the car is coming out, you didn't see lights, you didn't see anything, that's not the car's problem, that's your
stop sign.
You may have, listen, stopping at the stop sign does not relieve you of responsibility, Ms. Thomas.
Well,
You're not supposed to, speaking, you're not only supposed to stop at the stop sign, you're supposed to stop at the stop sign until it is totally clear for you to go.
Clear for me
Pay
to go.
attention, it wasn't clear for you to go because the car didn't drop out of the sky. The car came from someplace. You may not have seen it, but the car had the right of way and you did not.
Okay.
If the car hit you in the middle of the intersection, the car had the right of way and your car either jumped the stop sign or didn't stop long enough for you to see that there was a car coming in the intersection where that car had the right of way. So you are at least partially responsible. Now, did you have a deductible on this car?
No.
She had
no
insurance? No.
How did she know?
Just a minute.
I had liability insurance.
You
no,
did.
I couldn't find, because I was drunk, I couldn't find my registration or insurance. Even I had liability. It wouldn't do us no good because we got hit.
No insurance at all?
No.
Listen to me carefully. What year car is this?
87 Bonneville.
It's an 87, so you probably didn't have collision insurance.
I didn't have full coverage.
You didn't have. All right, now let me see the bill for the car.
Oh. The bill. This is a promissory note, because she pulled 2 knives on me, mind you. 2 big butcher knives. Talking about she's going to kill me.
Did I just pull the knife?
2 big knives.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This was going much
Pay careful attention to me. Put your hand down. You talk, I'm talking.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kaikisha Jones says former friend Tanya Thomas drove her car without permission and wrecked it.
This makes it easy. Is this a promissory note that you're offering into evidence?
No.
Madam, pay attention.
Okay, this is a note that when the police came, they made her write this note. I didn't ask for them to write this note, but they tried to resolve it, and they said
this was May 8th. The accident was on April 15th.
This was going months and months.
Pay careful attention to me. Put your hand down. Are these your 2 signatures on this?
Yes.
Is this your signature on this?
Yes.
And this says on May 5th at 9:30, I, Tonya Thomas, gave Keisha Jones $100. I will be willing to give Leisha another $100 on June 5th, 2000. Now, is that for the accident?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, this was just, you know, month by month or whatever, because she owes me $11.80.
For what?
Well, I needed another transmission for my car. The way we was hit, my car spent around and the transmission busted.
So is what you're telling me that this other $100 she was supposed to give you was not in full satisfaction of what you thought she owed you?
No.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, madam, exactly how much it was to fix your car.
$11.80.
Now, I see $206 and $350.
The estimate that the mechanic gave me, which is another transmission.
I don't have, I'm not dealing with that. I have this estimate here, here.
That's a receipt.
$206 and $350. What was paid for so far was $350, which is all you paid so far.
Yes.
Where is the car now?
I parked at my dad's house because I had to take it out the shop. I didn't have enough money to get the transmission.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
All you paid for the car thus far, and the only estimate that you have.
This is the estimate.
Let me see that card.
I mean, he said he, you know, it got his card and exactly what he gave me.
Your Honor.
What?
She have my belongings that she had at the club. I have about $225 worth of belongings that was left at her cousin's house that I got dressed at.
Listen to me.
That I got dressed at.
Miss Thomas! You gave her $100 so far?
Yes.
Between what it cost, which she paid for, which was $350. Cost of a transmission is $450. That's for a used transmission. Does that sound right to you, Bird?
Sounds about right.
Then you have $250 for labor. She gave you $100. That's $950.
Okay.
And I find that you are 50% responsible for what happened that night. You placed yourself in a position where you could not responsibly get home. Put your hand down. You talked? You talked? I'm talking. You placed yourself in a position where you could not get home that night. I find that, right or wrong, since you don't remember, I take her for her word that she got your consent, even your drunken consent, to drive the car home. She had no license, she had no right to be in the car, and she did, in fact, either run a stop sign or did not stop sufficiently to see another car coming. So both of you are responsible. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $475. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 245 on the calendar in the matter of Bent versus Richardson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Bent, the defendant is your brother?
Yes.
And your wife?
Yes.
This is your husband?
Yes.
According to what I've read, you were living in a house that you owned.
Yes.
And you were moving to a new house.
Yes.
You and your brother made an arrangement where they signed a lease to move into your old house.
Right.
With his family. You were expecting your first child.
Yeah.
When was that lease signed?
Lease was signed on the 15th of June.
And when were you supposed to move in?
The 16th of June.
And what was the rent?
Rent is $550.
Can I see the lease, please? So you really rented this home with an option to buy it?
Right.
Did you, in fact, deliver the $750 security deposit?
Yes, I did.
Is that correct?
Yes, he did.
And you moved in when, sir?
I did move in on the 17th of June.
Is that correct?
No, he actually did move in the 16th that afternoon.
Doesn't make any difference, but the problem arose that the home that you were going to move into somehow fell through.
Yes, it did.
So that you said, fine, I signed this lease, I took you $750, but we're staying with you.
Well, that's not the way it went, but...
No, that's what happened.
Yes.
You didn't move out.
Right.
They moved in. You were supposed to move out by the end of the month.
Yes.
And you never moved out.
Right.
And you want them to pay rent.
Yes.
They did, in fact, pay rent in addition to the $750. For how many months?
He paid for July, and he paid the first half of August.
Are you still living there?
Yes.
Are you still living there?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. You have to move out.
We own the house.
Not for the next year, you don't. You leased your apartment to these people for 1 year.
Yes, Your Honor.
In consideration of that, they moved in, paid you a security deposit.
Yes.
I assume that you wanted this lease in writing?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
You insisted on that?
Yes.
So you wanted everything strictly legal?
Yes, we did.
You gotta move out.
They haven't followed any of the lease
You
law.
gotta move out. I know you think that that's funny.
No, I think
you
it's
want
crazy.
him to pay rent.
He hasn't paid. He stopped paying.
Let me explain something to you.
Okay.
He's absolutely right. The fact that he paid rent for the entire month of July and gave you any money at all for September is terrific. He's a wonderful sport.
Not.
You got to move out and find a place to live. Unless you want to pay him out and say, listen, we have a real problem here. I'll give you $2,500 to go move someplace because we have no place to go now. But other than that, you have to move.
Your Honor, he has violated that lease over and over again.
No.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
want to stay in your house.
Well, no, we didn't. The house that we actually tried to purchase another house.
Yeah.
Not just the one that was the original house that we were going to purchase. And that house, because of what they had done to us, that whole thing also fell through.
What do you mean what they did to you?
Correct.
What did they do to you?
First of all, his cat destroyed my home.
Oh, he didn't destroy your home. I read that.
Yes,
I read
he
that
did.
nonsense.
He did. I have
Go ahead.
pictures. He destroyed the home.
Go ahead.
He called the police on me and tried to have me arrested for assault and told the police that he was going to have my call protective services to have my children taken from me, and he threatened my children.
That's not
Just
correct.
a second. What does that have to do with buying a second house?
Because what I'm saying is all the different things that were going on, they weren't paying the rent that they agreed to pay.
You were living in their home, madam. I never heard of such a thing.
It's our home. It's in our
No, it's
name.
not your home. That's what you don't seem to understand. It's not your home until June 16th, 2001. Then it becomes your home again.
It also states in the lease that if he violated anything that we agreed to in writing, that lease would become null and void.
You breached the lease the moment you stayed 1 hour beyond June 30th. You breached the lease. I never heard of such a thing. I mean, I've lived in lots of apartments. Leased apartments, right? Have you leased a lot of apartments?
A lot of apartments.
A lot of apartments? Did you ever move into an apartment with the previous tenant?
No.
It's not an apartment, it's a house, but
It doesn't make any difference whether it's an apartment, a house, a co-op, a condominium. You own it, but you have given up, pursuant to this lease, your right to occupy it for 1 year.
But, Your Honor, the house is not paid for, and the house is also in pre-foreclosure because they have not paid, so...
They're not supposed to pay rent. You pay rent.
He's not...
No, listen to me. You pay the rent.
And we have.
Good. Then why should your house be in foreclosure?
Because he wasn't paying on the schedule that we agreed to. He didn't pay because he moved into our home without a job. When he moved into our home, he didn't even have a job.
That is not
yes,
correct.
it is. I
Hey,
talked
Miss
to his boss.
No, it is
Miss
not.
Bent.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's get it together. You breached the lease because of circumstances perhaps beyond your control,
Yes,
because
it
you
was.
lost your house. But you can't expect him to pay rent on an entire house, which is what you're looking for when he doesn't have the use of an entire house.
But, Your Honor, he does have use of the entire house. The thing is, him and
I
his
don't.
wife, look, yes, you do. Him and his wife and his baby, we've inconvenienced ourselves. We took our children and put them all in one room, him and his wife, and he told us
That's
they didn't
his
have
room.
anything.
No,
Right,
that's
yes,
his
and that's
room.
what I'm saying. It is his room, but he also has use of the whole house. He can cook and clean and do whatever, but, excuse me, he doesn't clean, so I take that back. He cooks, he has use of everything else. They haven't, and it also states in there that he's supposed to mow the lawn and all of that. My husband does that once a week. He doesn't do anything.
You live there.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, you're not, listen to me. You're not getting it. You're not supposed to be there. You have to move out, if that's what they want. He paid rent, full rent, according to you, for the entire month of July. He also gave you $750 for security deposit.
Which is non-refundable, and he signed that. It does state.
Oh, he's going to get it back.
It states that on the
Oh,
first
no,
page.
he's going to get it back.
Well, what about the damage that he's done?
I'm not interested.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The cat was urinating on things, tearing up the furniture, tore up the wall, tore up the door. Yes, he did.
And later today,
Well, I paid half of it.
Why should she be responsible for $1?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janine and Anthony Bent are suing Janine's brother, Gerard Richardson, and his wife, Maria, for not paying rent.
I believe that this cat baloney is just a lot of baloney.
No, ma'am, it's not. We have pictures of the house that has been done, and they knew this. We asked them when they first moved in, the lease clearly states no pets. They said, we have a cat. We said, you can bring the cat if you're going to clean up after the cat. They never did. We got into it because the cat litter hadn't been changed. The cat was urinating on things, tearing up the furniture, tore up the wall, tore up the door. Yes, he did. I have pictures of that. He tore that up.
Show me.
I sure will.
Show me. I just want to see the cat tearing up the door and tearing up the walls. And then we'll proceed from there. I don't see any walls here. I see scratches on the door. Is that what you're showing me?
Yes, and it was not like that before.
Baloney.
And this
Next.
too, which
And he
can't
broke
be
a picture.
replaced.
What else?
Also, he called the police on me and tried to have me arrested for assault. I didn't do anything. What happened was I talked to him. I told him, I said, you know, the cat has destroyed this. This belonged to Grandma. You know, she's gone now. We can't replace this.
So what?
It means something to me. And his wife is like, well, if it was important to you, you should have put it up. No, your
Miss
cat
Bent,
destroyed
your lawsuit is dismissed for the following reason. You signed a lease. You became a landlord. You cannot live in property that you signed your rights away to for 1 year because you have a problem. You could have done several things. You could have taken your family and moved to another apartment. You could have said to your brother, I'm sorry it didn't work out. I will buy you out of your lease. You can say to him, I'll give you your moving expenses. You did none of those things. You just decided that you were all going to live together.
No, ma'am. We wanted to leave. We wanted to leave.
And you should have left.
We could not. We tried to purchase another home. We just didn't have the money at that point.
She ain't getting it. She ain't getting it. Your lawsuit is dismissed. Now let's get to your counterclaim. You have a counterclaim. You want your security deposit back. Done. $750. You want your rent back. right?
Yes.
Done. Now, the reason I'm giving you this money on your counterclaim is she ain't moving. You understand that?
I understand.
So you should have a little bit of money, which is what she should have done at the beginning, because she's not moving. She doesn't get it. And I can explain to her 4 times. She still doesn't get it. She said, but it's my house. And I want to move, but I can't move. Lease means you move. You paid $750 deposit. You paid $550 in July?
Yes. And then it was $200 for the first half of August that I paid her.
Fine. So, on your claim for past rent, that claim is dismissed. On your counterclaim, I'm awarding you $1,500 for the breach of the lease. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's destroyed my home. He's put my whole house in chaos, and he gets awarded a judgment. His stuff is going out. When we get back, it's out.
She's got to be out of her mind to think that I'm going to pay for her family to live in a house that she was supposed to sell to me.
And now the next case.
All parties on Dennis versus Franklin. Step forward, please.
52-year-old company owner Tanya Dennis is suing her son's friend, 24-year-old salesman Michael Franklin, for expenses involving a botched car lease.
Miss Dennis.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant, according to you, was a friend of your son's, who maybe even at one point you allowed to live in your home. Is that right?
That's correct. He still lives there, Your Honor.
Still lives there?
Yes, he does.
We'll get to why in a minute. According to your complaint, there came a time when he wanted to buy a car. He asked you to co-sign. You must not have taken your smart pills that day. You agreed. Through some fluke in the paperwork, the car dealership did some sort of a bait and switch with the car papers. You turned out to be the primary.
That's correct.
On this car. The car was in your name.
That's correct.
But he drove the car.
That's correct.
There was some lawsuit involving this bait and switch with the paperwork. You won that lawsuit, and the car was eventually taken out of your name. But before the car was taken out of your name, the defendant racked up a whole bunch of parking tickets, let the insurance lapse on the car which you paid for, had an accident with the car, and also you were notified that they were going to repossess the car that was in your name, so you made up the car payments so that they wouldn't repossess the car. So far correct?
So far correct, Your Honor.
Best as I can put together, the defense to this case is, he says you were both losers.
Definitely. Basically, she went to court because of their mishaps and their bad contracts. It set us far behind on payments, as well as...
So set who far behind?
Me and Melissa originally
Who's
were
Melissa?
my ex-girlfriend, who's no longer in my life.
Who has the car?
I won the case and had them take the car back because I charged them with fraud. They did take the car back, so that's gone.
Oh, so the car is gone?
Yes.
Why is he still living in your house?
Because he lost his job. That's how he got behind in his car payments. And I figured that when he got a job, if he didn't have to pay rent, he could pay me back the debt.
Right, but then I got put out before I can even settle into my job.
Put out where?
I was living there, and while I was busy working on a project, I was told that I needed to come and pick up my stuff because I hadn't been home in maybe a week and a half. When I went to go and pick up my mail actually was a suit paper.
That she filed?
Right.
When
and
was
she
that?
told me that she was just
And when
doing
was
this
that?
to protect herself. This was a matter of 3 months ago.
So when did you move back into the house?
Maybe like 4 days after I went to her, and I told her, I said that I always try to assume responsibility. Before I took care of some tickets, I gave her money, she went and paid some of those tickets as well.
But you got a lot more tickets.
Yeah, there was a lot of tickets.
Well, why'd you get so many tickets, Mr. Franklin?
San Francisco gives a high rate of tickets, and I had tickets that I didn't even know about accumulating and piling up.
What do you mean you didn't know about them?
Well, sometimes you get tickets, and when you get there, they're not on your car.
Yeah, everybody tells me that, but not all those tickets, Mr. Franklin. Not $1,500 worth of tickets. They didn't all get lost.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm absolutely dying of curiosity. Why is he living in your house again?
That's a good question.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tanya Dennis says her son's friend, Michael Franklin, owes her for a botched car lease.
Who's supposed to pay that?
I was.
But you didn't.
Well, I paid half of it.
Why should she be responsible for $1?
Well, she wasn't supposed to be responsible.
But she has to be. Her name is on the car.
Yeah, but she wasn't supposed to be primary. She was supposed to be co-signer, which meant that we were supposed to receive everything.
Okay, so you're both losers because it's all the car dealership's fault. All right, now let's get to the insurance. You let your insurance lapse. Why?
It fell behind a month because I lost my job.
So you were driving the car without insurance, knowing that she was the primary.
What it was is Miss Melissa, right? She was the original person, and it was Melissa.
Just a second. She wasn't the friend of Melissa. She was your friend.
Right.
If Melissa came to her and said to her, would you co-sign a loan for me, do you think she would have done it?
No.
She came and co-signed the loan because of you.
Right.
Yeah. Now tell me about the accident.
Well, technically it wasn't my fault, but it ended up...
let's start out with the not technically, sir. Was Melissa driving the car at the time of the accident?
No, she wasn't. We were no longer
Were you
together.
driving the car at the time of the accident? And who paid to have the car fixed?
Miss Dennis.
Why do you think she should do that?
She did that because she was in the primary position in all levels, and she had to protect her butt. But I was in a position where I was going to be able to pay it, but I got kicked out. And because I got kicked out, I had to fend for myself. I have a little girl that just was born, and I had to survive. I couldn't be just sleeping on the street.
So why didn't you put the car in a garage? Or you could have sold the car.
I needed a job, and in order to work, I needed transportation.
Why is that her problem?
It's not her problem.
But you made it her problem.
But it wasn't on purpose.
Oh, all right. I'm going to take care of this case, but I'm absolutely dying of curiosity. Why is he living in your house again?
That's a good question. I gave him 30 days notice, which is 2 days from now, and I know he still doesn't have any money. And I'm a Christian. I just can't do it.
Where's your son?
My son is at home also. They stay in my back rec room.
What does your son do for a living?
He goes to college and he's a music engineer.
What kind of work does the defendant do?
He right now is signing up people for long distance, and he's a rap star, a rap artist.
Does he work with your son?
Yes, he does.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What prompted you to file the small claims suit when you filed it? How long ago was that?
I filed it, I believe, about 3 months ago. And I went to court, and as the judge tallied up everything, the tickets kept coming in. At first, I sued for $3,500, and he said, I can give you the $3,500, or I can set it aside without prejudice, and you can come back, because by that time it was up to $4,500. I refiled, and with the increased amount.
When did you refile?
I refiled, I guess, about 2-3 weeks ago.
Let me see the date of your filing.
I didn't bring the papers from that court. The only papers I have court-wise is my litigation.
Let me see it.
I charged them with fraud and breach of contract.
How much did you collect?
I settled out of court. They took the car back, and I had to make the car payment for that month.
But no other damages?
No, none.
Judge Judy?
Yes?
I really don't feel that I should owe her this money because she picked it up.
No, I don't think you should owe her this money either. I don't think you owe her any money. I think that you sued the wrong defendant, madam. I don't see his name on the papers. I see Melissa's, Miss Dennis. The reason you're suing him is because he's in closer proximity to you?
That's not true.
I don't see his name anywhere here.
They wouldn't put him on the contract because his credit was so bad. So Melissa was supposed to buy the car for him, and they were going to make me the co-signer.
That's what you understood?
Right.
Even when you were there?
Right. No, well, no.
No, even when you were there?
When I went there, I thought that Michael was going to be
Get out
the
of
primary.
here, Miss Dennis. You're trying to pull the wool over my eyes, madam. And I guarantee you're not going to do it. Your case against this defendant is dismissed. You want to file against Melissa, you go and do it. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
হ্যালো ফ্রেন্ডসরা, সবাই কেমন আছো? আশা করি সবাই ভালো আছো। আজকে তোমাদের সামনে এই ছবিটি রং করে দেখাবো। ভিডিওটি না টেনে সম্পূর্ণ দেখবে। আমাদের ছবিটি রং করা সম্পূর্ণ হলো।